Hello everyone and welcome back to CR6. We are here with our second game of the night and we had a little bit of a switch over here. It is an absolute pleasure to join you. My name of course is Jay's Wills and I will be joined by Taco, the man himself, who just came off a victory of his own. How you doing, my man?
General, let me tell you something. It is about 10:40 p.m. Eastern time, of course, on a Tuesday. I got midterms barking down my back, and there's nowhere I would rather be than here with you right now. I'm feeling really pumped.
Me too, because not only are we entering the round of 16, Taco, and we're really seeing these matches ramp up, but we've actually got a little bit of a rematch on our hands. We've got St. Clair taking on Illinois State. We've got JM against Snail. We've got the battle of the egos. Everyone has talked about it, and I'm excited to actually see how it's going to unfold. If you are, of course, didn't see this first matchup, which took place a couple of weeks ago, or maybe just 2 weeks ago, yeah. St. Clair took on Illinois State on Cafe. It was a back and forth battle the entire time, but after a couple of unfortunate disconnects from the lobby from Illinois State, St. Clair ended up taking the victory 7-4. But some would say that that was assisted by those plethora of disconnects and that St. Clair may not have won as handily, Taco, if we hadn't seen that happen.
St. Clair, a team with a pretty solid resume so far this season, only dropping games to teams like ourselves, NC State, teams like Purdue, and dropping 2 games to Tulsa. But other than that, it's been green across the board for our boys in St. Clair. It seems like they are kind of on a trajectory right now to continue that path. That being said, I mean, Illinois State rather is a team that has seemed to be going on the up and up. I'm sure that you're a little bit more familiar with what that's looked like recently, but that's their team that's been trending upwards, and it seems like they have a lot of room to improve, and looks like they're ready to prove that.
Yeah, both of these teams, though, Taco, they've had inconsistent results throughout the season. Like you said, ISU, they went out on a rocky start, losing to Wisconsin, losing to Louisiana, dropping a map to Grand Valley State, losing to you guys, of course, at NCSU. But then they started to bring things back. A victory over the Ohio State B team started to get themselves into a rhythm. They took down Oklahoma State. They took down Maryville Red and Minnesota. They haven't been the strongest opponents, but they've been opponents nonetheless, and opponents that ISU have rolled through with more or less little resistance. But tonight, it's not a battle of who's better overall. It is who's better in the moment. Like I said, these are inconsistent teams. Both of them have trials, have tribulations, and have been shifting up their roster, have been trying to make some changes left and right. Taco, it really depends on what we see tonight. Is it a St. Clair who doesn't want JM to play on the roster because just 2 weeks ago they were trying to kick him off and have him coach only? Is it an ISU who struggles divvying up their roles and isn't sure who's going to be an IGL? Which of these two teams are we going to see? There's so many versions that they've given us so far this stage. Honestly, it's a coin toss who's going to enter up on top tonight, but this could be a long one, honestly.
Yeah, both of these teams are teams that thrive in very like explosive and unpredictable type of play, and that's a type of play that really does require a lot of confidence. So we jokingly said at the beginning this matchup right here is going to be a battle of the egos, but in all reality, it probably has to be in order for both of these teams to play at their best. Illinois State is a team that, can play really well when they're kind of playing at their pace. But that being said, St. Clair is a team that is really tough to kind of shift off their rock. So it's going to be the unstoppable force versus the immovable object tonight. And I really have no idea which way this one's going to go.
Yeah, I've got to say, I don't know either. Thankfully, Taco, man, it has been a long night.
Right.
Thankfully, Taco, we know the maps at the very least. We know exactly where we're going. Illinois State is going to come right off the bat. They're actually going to ban Villa. St. Clair removes Bank. So Snail promising us on the dirt report that we would see Bank. Turns out that promise was a lie. JM had different intentions, but it means we've got some interesting maps left on the board. Coastline is going to be the first pick by ISU. St. Clair are going to come right back with a pick of Oregon. So we are guaranteed to see both Coastline and Oregon, and we're actually going to end up on a Chalet decider. Taco, I'm really excited for this one because not often do we get to see both Coastline and Chalet in a collegiate best of 3.
Coastline is a phenomenal first map as a viewer for a first of a best of three, because this is a map where a team can really solidify some solid momentum. And going on to a map like Oregon with momentum, no matter what side of the ball you are on, offense or defense, you are going to continue that momentum more often than not. So Coastline, if it's not, a 7-5 or 8-6 slugfest, which I think it definitely could be, I believe whatever team, if a team wins that handily, they're going to continue this series and take it 2-0.
Yeah, thankfully we won't have to wait too much longer before we get into it. I know you're all yelling start the game. We're just waiting on Snail to get in the lobby, but once he does, we will be well underway. And like you said, Taco, diving into Coastline, where we could see, honestly, a whole lot of different things. Coastline as a map, same for Chalet, which we could theoretically see as our third map of the night, are generally considered attacker-sided maps, or at the very least, that even 3-3 split can be expected, right? You go to a map like Oregon, generally in Collegiate, that's going to be defensive-sided, but we get to start things off on an exciting map, a frag-heavy map, and a map that, honestly, sometimes you can throw your expectations out the window. We'll be getting started right now, and we can dive into our operator bands and see exactly what kind of coastline we're in for.
It's going to be a bit of a showing of which one of these teams took part in a warm-up scrim, I think, as we talked about. It's a very frag-heavy map, a map that's centered around gunfights. And we also talked about how attacker-sided this map has been. That being said, recently, Coastline has seen some shifts, and it hasn't been played that often in Collegiate since then. So it's going to be interesting to see how that offense and defense kind of balance works out. Changes to areas like VIP, changes to areas such like service entrance, right, are going to make it a little bit more difficult for teams that lack the proper coordination to really take advantage of all the holes that are presented to the offense. But as a defense right there, you're more in a position to take advantage of those lacking communication, lacking I forgot the word. I just came off a best of three, Jonah, and my brain's frazzled, and I'm trying. I really thought I was onto something, but I'm just sitting here looking at these looking at these operators. But see, what is wrong with me, man? What is wrong with me, Jonah?
You know what?
I need a cold splash of water.
It's midterm season.
I need a cold splash of water.
I will be that splash of water. Is that okay?
Oh, your voice is like smooth molasses. I wouldn't really liken it to water.
Smooth molasses.
Yeah, I believe I would say all molasses is smooth. I haven't seen
generally smooth.
I haven't seen the chunky version or molasses with pulp. At the grocery store. That being said,
it's viscous, but it is smooth. It's a good point.
Right. I feel like we're getting sidetracked here. We find ourselves round one in a classic hookah bias situation. Teams just love to go hookah first, despite just really how bad that site is. I mean, I am no better. I'm one to fall for the hookah bias myself, but it seems like looking at these operators that St. Clair has opted to bring out, we might see a bit of an extension into VIP if I'm a betting man. This Cade can be notoriously hard to deal with on this VIP wall, just showing, how difficult it is to even get control of that area of the map if you're doing it correctly. St. Clair might make me eat my words here, but if I'm a betting man, I'm looking at a VIP extend.
Yeah, I've loved the extensions that we've seen since Coastline has, of course, had that rework. Looks like we'll have to wait a bit longer to see this particular extension because naturally we need a rehost the moment we get into the lobby. Wouldn't be a really good game of Siege unless it was delayed as much as humanly possible. But it is what it is, and we can get back to talking about molasses. No, I'm just kidding. But we can talk about the Malusi ban because that's something I wanted to highlight, Taco. It's something that I think we're going to be seeing a lot more now. As you all know, the patch came out today, and Malusi has lost her nitro cell, but you got another bulletproof gadget, and that's of course going to be the bulletproof camera. And there isn't much you can do about that except for ban her out. You do not want to deal with another piece of indestructible utility. It's going to get us back to that utility consumption meta of old that we had worked our way out of slowly. But in addition to Wamai actually regaining some of his magnets that were actually taken away a couple of patches ago, we may be regressing slowly back to the terrible days of that utility consumption simulator meta. But I'm hoping these teams won't go fully into that tonight. Hopefully we don't see too much of that Wamai. We do see the Malusi ban, of course, but it doesn't necessarily mean these teams are set in their ways.
Yeah, Jonah, I'm actually glad you bring that up because it's interesting. You know, we had a shift away from the utility meta where it went more towards like an intel denial or meta, really, where the mute and the Mozzie kind of reigned supreme for a good couple months there, and then the last couple months, mute gets a nerf. Well, I guess it really depends on who you ask, but I would definitely call it a nerf with his lack of you know, the cylinder turning into a ball, and now Mozzie with I mean. I'm, I'm a Roni crutch, Jonah. I'm sorry. It really
You're a
broke
lot
my
of
heart
crutches.
today.
The LMG as well.
Okay, I don't. I am no. I am forced to run that LMG against my will. Believe me, I'd be going. I'd have like way more kills if I had something else. Believe me, it's not the LMG. It's me. But I think the Mozzie thing. Anyways, I think teams have kind of forgotten just how good the Commando is. So I think we're still going to be seeing a lot of our favorite Aussie boy running around on defense. He's definitely not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. That being said, Rooney is really going to separate the men from the boys when that DMR comes swinging because, I mean, obviously hits like a truck, but definitely not as easy to use as the Roni. But finally, we make our way back on to Coastline, reminiscent of our first best of three that we played today, where I believe we started the game with 3 or 4 rehosts.
Don't you dare say that aloud. You
So
can't curse that here.
there's 100% chance. I personally guarantee it. No more rehosts for
Oh
the
god.
next 3 seconds. Look at that.
Hey, you were
Yeah.
right. All right, I'm gonna have to start trusting you. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
What
good
can I
stuff. It's
say?
good stuff.
Yeah.
But let's not test our luck. We want to hopefully stay in this lobby a little bit longer. But the good thing is we'll be heading right back to the same site, and likely, as you said earlier, Taka, we may see that extension over towards VIP, an extension that has only now been enabled because Coastline has those changes, of course, and there's no longer that big old double VIP window. There's no longer an easy way into that room regardless of any defensive setup. Now you can reinforce those walls onto that VIP balcony, and it can be quite painful to get on through. The Hall of Fame doorway is always another option, but that's likely going to have barbed wire. That's going to have bulletproof gadgets this way and that, and it is going to have explosives waiting for you around the corner. So Illinois State on their attack are going to have to be quite wary of that, no doubt. But it seems they will be able to get underway and get a good idea of exactly what ISU want to bring to the table. We're going to get to see the Thatcher. That's one thing that's going to be a staple of this matchup because he has not been banned, as is a bit more typical for a map like Coastline.
Oh
But
boy.
wow, we're going to see some aggression early on from Vazdex, but nobody's there. Nobody spawned poolside, so he will have to keep that nitro cell in pocket and stay in the building for now.
Yes, ISU maybe avoiding a bit of an early death there as they all have opted to go for this main side of this take. With Thatcher on board, it's going to be pretty easy to deal with this VIP hold if they do it correctly. So it seems like a bit, I'll get into this later, but it seems like St. Clair might have misplayed these bans just a little bit based on how they're playing so far. But we are going to be seeing the 0 come out from ISU, which I think is pretty smart. You have a Nomad anyways for your flank watch, but due to the changes, we talked about this patch already, due to the changes that we're seeing, Zero's now bringing 2 hard breach charges to the pile, as well as 1 Gone 6 and 4 potential burns, as well as the cameras, depending on how you want to divvy those up. So Zero is an operator that has a lot of potential to be very strong.
We'll see exactly how ISU want to utilize him. Of course, it requires a lot of coordination and communication to get intel quickly and then act off it accordingly. And that is something, like I said earlier, ISU have been struggling with as of late. Seamless executions and seamless coordination is not something ISU have really ever been known for. But if they can work out those kinks tonight, I expect we're going to see a good bit of attacking success. Speaking of, they've already made a good bit of progress here now that 90 seconds have transpired, but they're still struggling to get this wall open. The Thatcher EMP will go off, but I think the other set of that wall was not quite dealt with that EMP, so a couple of those X-Kairos pellets taken away, but it looks like one trade will go back and forth, so no advantage secured yet for either team.
Vazdex going on an absolute tear on this White Stairs flank, finds not 1, but also 2. Your Nomad as well as your Sledge off the board. Sledge still with nades in his pocket, so that's a very big pick there from the roaming Warden. Seems like maybe the Valk ban did not want to, deter Vazdex from getting some laps in with the MPX. But now ISU is going to have to adjust their push as they don't have that VIP control that they work so hard to obtain. Getting this pink wall open, though, is going to allow them to try to put a bit of pressure on this Aqua side and maybe rely on pink bar not being, an area that the defense is trying to hold. But JM Beast with an unfortunate disconnect, but Vazdex is not stopping his reign of terror. He's going to find one and another. A quad kill for Vazdex on the round. The Warden, the mustachioed man himself, showing why he is the most underrated operator in the game. And Vazdex, despite the disconnect from his teammate, is going to close that out and make it look mightily easy.
Unbelievable start for St. Clair. Vazdex doing all of the work. And yeah, like you said, Taco, JM doesn't even need to be in the lobby for St. Clair to thrive, or so it would seem. Vazdex getting every single kill in that round, and yes, making it look rather easy. ISU kept feeding him kills one at a time, and we never once saw somebody attempt the refrag. Vazdex was never fighting for his life. He was never struggling to run away from engagement. He was taking a heads-up gunfight and winning it, doing it again, and then doing it another time, and just winning every single one. From ISU, that is a mistake, just not coordinating enough. Like I said, if those problems start to emerge, that's when they are going to get into a lot of trouble, and round one, not a good start for them at all.
It's a good thing that Vazdex had such a huge impact on that roam, because one thing I wanted to mention as we look back at those operator bans, St. Clair opting to take out the Lion, which obviously Lion is an operator that has been traditionally very strong on maps such as Coastline. But if you look at how St. Clair is playing, right, they're not really opting for that much more mobile style. Instead, they're trying to hold down areas, right? Electrifying off VIP and trying to hold that area down. You have smoke shields with enough burn to destroy a small city. You got the Jaeger and you got the Wamai on that, right? But they go into that right after really kind of committing to that play style, and then they leave Thatcher up, which I think is a bit of a mistake. It kind of seems like they aren't really sure of why they're doing it. They just know that they're supposed to be doing it. From my estimation, the Lion, obviously, again, a very strong operator, and that might be why we are seeing the 0, because he kind of fills a very similar role, bringing that Gon 6 and bringing that burn, just with the added benefit of those cameras. But if St. Clair really wants to take advantage of the bans that they have chosen, they are really going to have to kind of step up the pace. Obviously, Vazdex did just that. I guess he took advantage of the Lion ban because he was running all over the place and taking out attackers wherever he saw fit. But I think it's just something that shows kind of how things should change as a team.
Well, St. Clair, after that successful hookah and billiards defense, will be moving downstairs now to kitchen and dining. Or just kitchen and kitchen service, excuse me. Was thinking about Cafe, the map they played last time. But over here in kitchen and service, they will be locking this one down, but once again, going for a bit of a roam. Vazdex continuing that aggression, looking like he wants to go for another spawn peak, but Rapid is also eager to go for a spawn peak, and our ISU ready for it. Seems like Harabic was looking at that spot, but Rapid was, yes, a little bit quicker to pull that trigger. And, well, a great start for St. Clair yet again.
St. Clair is just, they decided that Coastline is attacker sided, and they want to be the attackers regardless of what side they start on. As another player from Illinois State has been denied access into this lovely building. And now Illinois State, they're just reeling, right? St. Clair has all the control, and it looks like they might give it just right back as Vazdex gets a little too big for his boots there. Looks like they're just trying to kind of take that initiative that they secured early round, and they're trying to run with it, but it is going to cost the life of our beloved Warden. And now maybe Illinois State might be able to claw some of this back. Cow and Harabic, some of your most prolific fraggers beside Illinois State, have fallen though, so it is going to rely a lot on Kringle, Fortra, and Snail to bring this one back.
See what they can make happen. I mean, they have a ton of time to work with. 1:45, considering how many deaths have already taken place, is surprising to see left on the clock. But it does mean that ISU can be flexible with how they play the remainder of this round. They've got 5 drones to work with. Actually, 2 of them, because only 3 of these players Two of these players left alive have drones in pocket, but with that, they should be able to take a few moments, slow things down, and get some intel before aggressing the next time they try to execute. They will be pushing in through Sunrise Bar here. Kringle, that is, will be the first player up. And even though he doesn't have necessarily more than one drone remaining, he's got those zero cams to work with. And that can be held by one of his fallen teammates so they can be getting intel for their team, even if their guns are not up and in this fight. Looks like ISU will now be looking to get aggressive, but Snail and Fortra are going to get shut down by Kinger just like that. And Kringle is the final player standing to fight for himself against four. He looks for the first, but it will simply not be allowed to happen as Rapid, collecting a double kill on the round, will finish him off.
That's the mobility I was talking about, right? St. Clair getting extremely active. I mean, obviously, any round where you get two spawn peaks should be just about as easy as they come. But even after that, right, they didn't really take their foot off the gas. Obviously, that led to the unfortunate demise of that beautiful man with the mustache. Sorry, it's just he's just so distractingly gorgeous.
Looking guy, yeah.
Warden, yeah, and but other than that, you know, even after him falling, the rest of his team did not stop stomping on that accelerator, and it was just a little bit too much for Illinois State to handle. They did get a decent amount of map control back, considering how few of them actually got to spawn in this round. But after that, after they tried to actually start making their way onto site and having to work through, you know, some of those Shumika pellets from the Tachanka, things just kind of went south rather quickly.
And that's the magic of Coastline, right? Things can look so promising for one team and then can swing in the other team's favor just like that. It's an aggressive map. It lends itself to aggressive play. And while we haven't seen dramatic swings of momentum within a round, if ISU have anything to say about it, we may see them between these rounds. They need to get this momentum back on their side because St. Clair looked unstoppable in that previous round. They were extremely aggressive, extremely confident, and if ISU don't shut that down quickly, this could get problematic very, very fast. This one is, I believe, ISU's map pick. They wanted to start things off here. St. Clair, they preferred Oregon. They preferred, at least tonight, a bit more of a control map, a more methodical, disciplined map, but they are playing anything but disciplined and methodical. They are playing wild and crazy, and Vazdex will find success on the run out that he has been attempting every single round thus far. Fortra terrified to even approach the building at this point because Vazdex is such a menace around this site.
This style of play that we're seeing put on display from St. Clair, something that they're doing extremely well, is, you know, it's very scary to go up against as an attacker, but it is, you know, you can deal with it. It just kind of relies on you as a team consolidating your push, right? You need to make sure that you are working together. Fortra going to find a pick once again on Vazdex, seemingly peeking outside of the map. So that's, you know, once again, Warden gets his just desserts. He's getting less and less attractive by the minute, just based on how he's playing. But, you know, ISU, if they're able to consolidate, if they're able to work their way not only out of spawn, but into the map, then they can kind of find these rounds pretty easily. But another addition of the new patch, Kapkan being able to put multiple traps on a single door is going to find not only one, but the Kapkan himself finds another, and Snail, the remaining attacker, stuck in the mudroom with it all to do as Kapkan's going to peek, once again getting overly aggressive, and Snail is going to take that freebie, going to pad those stats. I'm sure Snail is really appreciating it, but now he's got two more to deal with. The Jaeger and the Mute both bearing down on him, and he is stuck in a single doorway.
Well, I think St. Clair needs to be careful here because clearly they've been very aggressive up to this point, and it's gotten a little bit frisky, but in the end, they will pull it out. Great shot there from Rapid to close out the round. Nice headshot through the wall, and that is going to be 3 decisive rounds in a row from St. Clair. It was an ace from Vazdex, aggression in round 2, and even more aggression in round 3, plus the glory of a Kapkan kill. I mean, there's nothing like that, and no better way to take the mental of Illinois State and throw it 6 feet underground.
Yeah, if I'm Fortra right there, I'm punching my desk, because I know you saw the yellow ping. You know that his teammate was on a drone, and he's like, Kapkan's in, you know, he's in pool. He's not even looking. You can just swing in, and so he just hauls it straight through hookah, only to fall to, you know, 2 or maybe even 3 Kapkan traps on a single door. I don't know how many you need to have an insta kill like that, but you know, he's dropped immediately. And, you know, even knowing that the Capkin's on the board nowadays is going to be a bit more spooky due to this recent patch. Obviously, it's not ideal when a patch like this comes out in the middle of any big competition. I'm sure it's, you know, going to be really affecting those in pro leagues and CLs of the world. But it's here down in here in Collegiate, we're still feeling the ripples.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing that tonight, and it's impressive that St. Clair have already been able to apply those updates into their play style. Often, it takes even the most experienced teams, you know, weeks or even months to develop good strategies and adapt to the new patch. But I mean, St. Clair, I mean, I don't know if it's just incredible mastery and talent or sheer dumb luck that they've been able to work this patch into their advantage at such an early point in this matchup and in the patch. I mean, it only came out today. So we'll see how they continue to use this to their advantage. But right now, not using any fancy tricks to get their kills. They're playing aggressive and they're playing confident. We saw it from Vazdex just a moment ago, peeking out from that service door, looking for anyone willing to challenge him. But now that he's been spotted out, he senses it, and he will back on off to live another day.
Yes, St. Clair is going to have to forfeit a bit of time on the front end to maybe keep all 5 players alive for longer than a minute, and it looks like it has paid dividends as Vazdex has been pushed back, albeit probably not for very long if I'm a betting man, but now they're going to have to deal with this VIP hold. But Thatcher in hand, it's not going to be too difficult for the side of Illinois State to make pretty impressive headway into VIP. I mean, you do have a Midas to deal with, but those also are going to fall at the hands of an EMP charge from the Thatcher. So Kinger is going to have to get pretty aggressive here if he's going to make this hold stick. But St. Clair, not a team that has shown that they want to shy away from aggression. So I feel like we are going to see a bit of fireworks here in the VIP, unless ISU is deciding to rotate. It seems like they have taken my advice of, oh my gosh, did he, that the way that cut right there, I thought he just fell out of existence. I thought Snail just got Thanos snapped. But it seems like ISU are still not sure of what they really want to do. This aggression from St. Clair repeatedly has made it very difficult for Illinois State to feel comfortable anywhere on the map. But Harapik is going to take out the lone player on site of J and Beast, but Vazdex going to get that immediate refrag. So once again, things are all leveled out here with a minute to go.
ISU clearly shaken in their boots. They are terrified to push into this map, and for good reason, because Vazdex is fragging out. Rapid is on the hunt, and he will claim another victim. That's Fortra, the next player to be cut down. Cow, isolated on the other side of the map towards Hookah, will be unsuccessful in that fight, and Snail is caught between a rock and a hard place. 2 players will take him down in a brutal crossfire, and now Cow and Kringle will have to fight this one back all on their own. They're separated, so they're going to have to take the time to rotate around and play together, but finding 4 defenders who are hunting for you is going to be easier said than done. Here comes Vazdex. He goes for the run out, and he finds success. Gangstology is downstairs, just running out like a madman, and he wins that fight. There is no shot that Kringle does not get that, but Gangstology is simply just better. St. Clair take 4 in a row. ISU, unfortunately, they look pretty lost.
I feel like he might have not been able to look down far enough. That's one of the most frustrating parts of Siege, is when you see someone right below you and you just can't look down far enough. I'm pulling my mouse, man. Just let me look down. But once again, St. Clair is just proven to be too much for Illinois State. We talked about Coastline maybe being an attacker-sided map, and I think it might still be. But this time, the attackers are Warden, Mute, Jaeger, Tachanka, and whoever, Vigil, right? Because obviously we needed more roaming potential from the side of St. Clair. It seems like they are not content with the 4 rounds they've already collected on defense, and it looks like they're just going to try to continue to steamroll Illinois State and make them maybe not even want to play map 2. You know, if I'm Illinois State and I can't even get in the building after the first one, I'm just like, you know what? You got it. You know what? You earned this one. You win. You got me. But Illinois State, they got a lot to do if they want to bring this one back. If I'm Illinois State right now, I'm already looking to defense, right? This is a team, St. Clair that is, has shown that they really know how to play when they get to set the pace. But on defense, you are more in control of that pace of play. So St. Clair might struggle a bit more, but that's all to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, we have to get there, and ISU need to have some sort of hope by that time. I mean, yes, even if they can put together an incredible defensive performance, they need at least 1-2 rounds to have some sort of hope going into that half. You can't expect to take 6 or 5 defensive rounds on Coastline. I mean, if you're playing like St. Clair, maybe you can, but even them, even they aren't going to have these lofty expectations of taking every single defensive round. And if St. Clair continues this pattern and does in fact do that, ISU will be required to take every single defensive round if they want to find overtime. Great nade from Cal, though, so that will change up the rhythm and actually be the very first round where Illinois State has found the opening pick. Rapid does not like that, so he will attempt to retake lobby. Gangstology will attempt to play aggressive as well, and they will get punished for it. Cal doing a fantastic job now of finally punishing St. Clair for just dumb decisions, and Fortra will join his teammate in doing exactly that. Rapid says goodnight, and it is JM and Kinger to pull this one back, but it is going to take a miracle if they want to take 5 Illinois State attackers down who now know exactly what they are going up against. That is a triple kill for Cow. JM last alive, and Cow whipping around the corner hits a beautiful shot onto JM, and ISU bring things back with a vengeance.
I think JMB's got a little bit nervous there. He thought he might actually had to play the game for a round, and it seems like, unfortunately, he wouldn't even get the chance as Cow, right? I mean, the little Cow that could working his team up the mountain. Absolutely, not only 2 phenomenal entries, but once they have those entries and have that map control, he continued his reign of terror. And the thing that's so interesting is he wasn't really taking gunfights. The last one, outstanding, but those first 3, with the nade, those were fights that were given to him. He just kind of sat there and held an angle, and he was able to close things out and win those fights because he was taking those fights on his terms. And that's something that we're going to see more as ISU is switching to defense, right? They're going to be taking more gunfights on their terms. And so St. Clair might start to struggle just a little bit more. But Coastline's still a map that defenders are really struggling to hold. And so it might be too late.
Well, if ISU can build the momentum back, right? If they can start to get some confidence going on their side, and if Cal can continue to play like we just saw, I mean, they could absolutely turn this one around, and they could absolutely bring things back when things switch to the other side. One more attacking round to go, however, and if they're able to take this one, I would certainly not count them out of it just yet. I would count that as a full retaking of the momentum. But it is going to take a handful of frags to get there. You're going to have to hunt down these aggressive roamers. Maybe, just maybe, St. Clair will be somewhat more patient now that they know what ISU can do when they finally play coordinated and when Cow finally starts fragging out. And yet again, that will be the case. Kringle, the opening pick, that went on to Vazdek, so no more ace, no more maniac on the roam from him.
He thought he was really clever, didn't he? He was like, oh, Kendra, come on, switch with me. Let me get on the Wamai, and then I can play back there, and I'm not going to get naded. And then when they have to go against my gun, yeah, it's game over, right? But Crinkle, he kind of put a stop to that pretty quick. And now your Wamai is off the board without being able to generate more than 2 discs. And with that new buff, that's really going to hurt them a lot. But now this is the first pick on the board, right? And so now what is ISU going to do with it? They have map control that they have to work with, but are they going to be able to make that a successful push? That's yet to be seen.
Yeah, still a lot of work to do. You have to transition that map control into an actual take, and often that is what attacking teams can struggle with the most. Everyone knows how to slowly take map control, but when it comes down to shifting that into a push, a decisive push, a coordinated push, things can get a bit dicey. So right now, the standoff continues as St. Clair have now fully shifted into a much more patient game. Every single defender now sitting stalwart behind a counter, behind a deployable shield, honestly, like they should have been playing for quite a long time. The only exception to that rule is Kinger, and he's going to find himself absolutely slammed by Harabic, who creeped his way down the Cool Vibe stairs in Illinois State, taking advantage of that because St. Clair were not aware at all.
Now that Illinois State has kind of been allowed to get some of that map control, they are making it work for them. Catching defenders off guard by being in places that they're not expecting is what is going to happen when you actually get into the map. But Harapic is going to try to do vert with the shotgun for Jackal, and it's not going to work out for him. But Cow is continuing his reign of terror as he finds Jay and Beast on site now. Gangstology and Rapid with it all to do. Gangstology finds one. He can't yet find another. The first spray not effective, and Cow is just going to have too much for him, and Kringle is going to finish that out as Illinois State start to turn things around a little bit. It seemed like maybe St. Clair is getting a little bit too big for their britches, and Illinois State is here to give them their just desserts.
Yeah, Cow came on through, grazing on every piece of grass that St. Clair were willing to throw his way, munching his way through the field that was kitchen and service, and taking names along the way. Really, really great job from Cow, despite the horrible, horrible metaphor. No, he seriously played that quite well, joining his team on that push instead of playing isolated, knowing that St. Clair were slowing things down a little bit and were playing a little bit more controlled. Illinois State, they countered that with some patience and some finally, some coordination to back that up. They were able to take those 2 rounds on attack that they needed. And honestly, I think they are very much still in this fight. This could very well be a defensive-sided Coastline, or at least an aggressive defensive-sided Coastline. And St. Clair are now the ones who have to attack. They now are the ones responsible for clearing out what could be a very, very aggressive style of defense from Illinois State, because they just witnessed how successful that could be if done right. And you've got Harabic on the Warden, you've got Cow pulling out the cap can, you've got all of these aspects that St. Clair utilized so well. So why can't ISU do the same?
One notable difference we're going to see is I feel like this Warden is going to be drastically different than what we saw from St. Clair, bringing out the shotgun as well as the shield. I feel like this Warden is going to be played a bit more how maybe the devs intended it, right? Less of a roaming menace and more of a site anchor who can deal with the flashes that St. Clair has plenty of, bringing 9 to the table. So this Warden is going to be something that we're probably going to see a lot more late round of instead of early.
Well, speaking of early round, we're already seeing Vazdex creep his way into service, a hot drone at his feet, so a lot of intel going his way and allowing him to potentially frag out. Something I didn't even notice is that we're actually starting here on the double bar for ISU, but St. Clair are going to capitalize on this more exposed site, and they're going to get aggressive at the onset. Vazdex taking down Snail, shutting down the smoke, so no toxic smokes, no time delay available for this ISU defense anymore. Cow actually just ended up walking out in the open, but thankfully for him, Vazdex wasn't looking in the right direction at that moment. But now it's actually Vazdex who's out in the open. He doesn't know there's a player on Cool Vibes. All Fortra has to do is swing him, and he could find several kills. He's not going to do that, and actually Vazdex is in the middle of Blue Bar, now creeping into Sunrise, looking to catch ISU unaware, and it very well may work. There goes Cow. Here comes the plant. JMB's going to get this one down. Harabic trying to come up for a flank, but it's not going to work. Kringle is deleted. Harabic is shut down, and that's another quad kill from Vazdex. He'll swing around, and he'll find an ace. That's 2 aces for this man in a span of just 5 rounds. He cannot be stopped.
They're so afraid of him. I don't understand it. If that Jaeger is just a little bit more active, his reign of terror comes to an end far before he's able to get up in sight and absolutely decimate the Illinois State defenders that are in sight. Vazdex just showing that how having that momentum, having that ability to make the other team fear you goes a really long way, as it seems like no one from Illinois State was willing to try to step up and make a play, and they just got steamrolled as a result.
Wow. I mean, that's 2 aces. That is 2 aces. I mean, I talked about Cow eating up and grazing on his own, but I mean, it is Vazdex who is eating up in a massive way. Everyone, especially JM and Snail, I mean, the captains of both of these rosters, they love to knock teams for being very one player focused, from being dependent on that one fragger. But JM is really one to talk, because Vazdex is putting up insane numbers, 13 kills in fact, and JM. Let me do some quick math here. 13 minus 0. If you carry the 1, Yeah, that's a 13 kill difference.
Yeah.
And that is not ideal for JM.
Yeah, I whipped out the TI-84 and I checked that, and you're bang on. I mean, obviously, we're seeing the fruits of their labor. St. Clair deciding to bring JM Beast back on the roster, and it's paying dividends, right?
I mean, clearly.
So good for them. Good for them. Also, one thing we're seeing is Cow still on this Roni. It's a very brave play, because he's not only he's got the Roni, he's also got the angled grip, which is something that is interesting considering that Mozzie has a phenomenal, absolutely heart-stopping weapon of choice to work with otherwise in that commando. But we're still going to see that Roni, and maybe, he's just going to make me eat my words. Cow has been, doing a lot of work for Illinois State, as little work that's been, but he's going to have to do a lot here to prove to me that Roni is still viable. But Vazdex is going to continue his early aggression. He's made his way all the way up into billiards now, and it seems like Kringle's not ready to deal with it. Vazdex going to miss a couple shots there, but it's still not going to be enough, as the aggression from St. Clair is just too much to deal with. Harabic now is going to have to win this one. Shotgun v shotgun, and the Warden showing once again how he is the best operator in Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. And so now Illinois State has a lot to do in a 3v4 with no map control. Yeah,
I mean, St. Clair are rolling through this control, though, and they are pushing Illinois State out. And so far it's working, because they're forcing ISU to take some uncomfortable fights, and they're forcing a player like Harabic into an uncomfortable position. And of course, Taco, the celebration is warranted. JM getting his first kill, which now means Illinois State are fighting in a 2 versus 4. Snail and Cow are going to have to bring this one back, and if there's any two players you want in this situation, it is, of course, this lethal IGL duo of Cow and Snail. Cow finds one, but that's not going to be enough to stop the plant from going down. He'll now have to go on the retake himself. On that Mozzie, of course, with that Roni, working that recoil as best he can, trying to find exactly where St. Clair are pushing from, but now St. Clair have become the defenders, and all they have to do is sit back and wait. Cal whips out the pistol, finds success onto JM. That's going to be very, very easy to do, but finding Rapid is going to be a lot less easy. Same for Gangstology. He'll swing around that corner as the Habana, shutting down Cal, finally ending his own reign of terror and giving St. Clair the first look on match point.
St. Clair did a really good job that round of finding a hole in the Illinois State defense and just punishing it. The hold of the billiards room was actually pretty weak from Illinois State. It looked kind of scary, right? You had some holes in the wall, you had a reinforcement, but once you kind of got up to it, you didn't really have anybody on vase to deal with. You just had that one guy sitting on a single reinforcement. So that means you know exactly where he is. You cut off, or you cut off luggage, you cut off Cool Vibe stairs. That guy, he's stuck. He has a shield, but it's facing towards the balcony. Like anyone in their right mind is going to push in that doorway. So it shows that St. Clair's, I'll say this, right? They had a post plant and they didn't breach the wall right behind it. So people had to swing in to try to stop the diffuser. So they're maybe not thinking about the game in the most critical thinking way, but they're still definitely trying to find holes in these defenses. And when they're given the opportunity, they really take advantage of it.
It's interesting, though, that we're seeing such bizarre sights from Illinois State. I mean, yes, Penthouse and Theater has become much more viable since the patch. It actually wasn't really viable at all unless you had a Mira in play. But now we're actually seeing no Mira, but we are going to see this site regardless. And that is simply because VIP has become possible to hold, not to mention you're no longer just sitting ducks from the skylight anymore, or from the courtyard. You can now, like we saw there with Cow, use those castle barricades and try to shut that down. So in a combination with the echo from Snail, we are seeing a bizarre lineup from ISU, but one that they are hoping is enough to stop the aggression of St. Clair. If you see an aggressive Ashe, what do? You bring an echo to make her drunk. You bring the castle barricades, 4 of them now, to just prevent Vazdex from coming in, or prevent anybody from just walking in at any doorway. I mean, so much you can do to slow these attackers down, and I think that's what ISU are resorting to at this point.
Yes, St. Clair, though, they're going to have to kind of work through this defense piece by piece. They're not opting to bring the Thatcher, which I find is pretty interesting considering that they opted to leave it on the board, so it might have shown their propensity to play it, but it looks like it's not going to matter as Illinois State has not really put any effort into denying this wall, but Kringle is going to try to deny it himself, MP5 in hand, but he's not going to find anything. And now his position has probably been found out by these attackers who, with a little bit of patient droning and a little bit of communication, are going to be able to dispatch him pretty easily now that he is stuck on that right side of the breach. Yeah, he has been found out. So now the attackers are just going to swarm him. And JM Beast finds himself another one. The guy has been on an absolute heater these last 2 rounds. And now Illinois State, their control of Penthouse, or excuse me, their control of VIP has started to dwindle, and now Penthouse is soon to follow.
Yeah, great job there from St. Clair to deal with VIP effectively, even though they don't have a Thatcher. But Illinois State, of course, they didn't bring that Kaib, they didn't bring that hard breach denial, and they are going to pay the price doubly so. Haravic finally dealt with after finding a kill of his own, but Cow will clap right back. So will Rapid, finding another trade, this one onto Fortra to keep things even in a 2v2. But ISU, they've got a chance for the first time. Cow makes that certain by taking the head of JM, and it is going to be Rapid alone to fight against 2. First, he'll have to recover that diffuser, but stunning himself in the bathroom is not going to make that an early task. Not to mention, Cow is trained exactly on this position. Missing a couple of vital shots, though, will give Rapid a second chance at life, and he will use this chance to rotate around and maybe shift his focus towards Snail. But he's going to have to deal with him quickly because he'll be constantly watched by multiple cameras. The 90 camera, these multiple echo drones. He doesn't have a lot of options. He'll swing right out into Cow's crosshair, who will be unable to land that headshot yet again. But Rapid, despite still being alive, is barely so. He now has to find his way out of VIP, and that is simply not going to be allowed to happen. Can't vault through the not rotate. He'll bring out the breaching charge, but give up on that. Really just struggling to do anything at this point, hoping that somebody from ISU throws their life away, but that is simply not happening. Rapid now with 5 seconds left is trying to pull out a miracle, but really just going to sit still, allow himself to be a sitting duck, and allow Snail to pad his stats some more and get that final kill.
Very well played in the late round there from ISU, Snail and Cow, just not giving him any ones. Cow got a little bit aggressive there when he was peeking that Hall of Fame door, but after that, you see Snail, he gets off 90, he starts to fall back, he realizes that maybe he's not in the safest position. Obviously, that position is very good for early round when you're trying to keep that map control. But once you lost VIP, it's really tough to try to keep that position. And so they're not giving him any ones, right? The guy was trying to find gunfights, pre-firing everywhere, pre-firing so much that he ran out of ammo in the LMG, which is something that is incredibly rare. And so Illinois State, despite losing VIP early, are able to punish the fact that St. Clair, we talked about the struggles that teams have switching from clearing to executing, and St. Clair was a prime example of that, where they got the aggression that they showed really paid dividends for them getting that map control. But then after that, they just tried to keep being incredibly aggressive. They tried to keep working their way onto site. But ISU had these long angles set up, they had these crossfires set up, and they're able to dispatch those guys getting too aggressive pretty easily, right? So Illinois State showing that they're not as much of a pushover as maybe the attacking half made them seem, showing that they're trying to slow down and play the game right, play the game smart. And that is probably what's going to try, if anything, get them back into these rounds, because so far it's not going to be their gun skill.
10 seconds remaining. At least it would seem like that, right? I mean, nobody has yet to step up in the way that Vazdex has stepped up, and Rapid has also, stepped up and found those 8 kills. Now in Fortra, generally, your big guns in this lobby, and Fortra has really been shut down for the most part. Only finding those 4 kills, and that is not a good recipe for ISU's success. Now, almost a little bit of a disaster there from St. Clair. You can see the struggles coming out a little bit in the way that they're slowing down, and the way that they're losing a little bit of confidence here. And it's actually Fortra to contest them early on. Playing as that Jaeger, sitting in Sunrise, will contest the several players now working their way in from that mudroom door. In the meantime, Rapid will use that opportunity to approach from the other side, working his way in from office, trying to pressure out Snail, who's sitting here in security and struggling to shoot out a couple of drones.
Look, he had the angled grip on. That thing gets away from me. It happens. I'm not one to judge. But Fortra is going to have a little bit of pressure as Gangstalgy and Fortra kind of having their own 1v1 battle here as the side of St. Clair has finally secured this office and security map control. JMB's getting incredibly aggressive here, trying to secure security, for lack of a better term, but they're realizing now once they make their way through security that they are going to have a Mira staring them directly in the kisser. But Vazdex is going to be making his way through top floor and trying to find gunfights as he goes, and he's going to unfortunately not find that frag. Rapid's going to take out Kringle, and Harabik's also going to be down, so it's going to be a lot of pressure on these upstairs defenders to take out Vazdex as the plant is going down in sight. These people upstairs who are kind of tasked with keeping that diffuser from going down have been distracted by Vazdex just long enough for JMBs to stare at the ground and hold F for 7 seconds, and now the planner is down in 34 seconds. Are all that separates St. Clair from a map 1 win as JMBs finds himself another one. Snail, angled grip, latched firmly to that left hand, now has it all to do in a 1v5 with 23 seconds left. I feel like Cade, even in full sprint's not getting that diffuser in at least 22.
Well, he will be sure to shut down Gangstalgy, getting that extra frag. A little good night in the chat to solidify that, but Snail is not going to be able to do this at all. He's getting wall banged, he's missing every shot, and he's got no time. That is a fantastic first map performance from St. Clair. It will close things out in a 7-3 fashion, and it was not honestly that close. It was dominance from St. Clair to start off the night, 7-3, but it was confidence, it was aggression, and it was Vazdex to win it out for them.
Yeah, St. Clair showing that they really came to play immediately map 1. ISU, they showed some flashes of some potential of, kind of getting back in that game, but it just was a little bit too late, right? ISU did not come into this map ready to take it, right? They tried to maybe get it, but they weren't ready to take it. St. Clair was ready to take it, right? They came and they set the pace of play, and it was just a little bit too fast for the boys at the Redbird Esports to handle.
Well, the good thing is, right, even though we're going next to Oregon, which is going to be St. Clair's pick, things are very different on Oregon. You cannot play as aggressively. You can play aggressive, but it's going to be nothing like Coastline. It's going to be nothing like Chalet. ISU, they have a chance to play their game a little bit more. They can play the game that found them success on Coastline, a more patient game, a more disciplined game. But we will have to wait a few minutes to see how that's going to shake out. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've got match 2 in this round of 16 series. This rematch will continue after the break. So Taco, map one, map one was something. It was
Hmm.
something special.
Hmm.
I didn't expect to see this type of siege in this matchup. I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't know that Vazdex had 2 aces and like 15 kills in him, but apparently he did. And apparently ISU had simply no answer for that at all. Going into Oregon, what do you think ISU can do to bounce back?
Well, again, ISU just has to be willing to try to set this pace of play. When St. Clair was in the driver's seat, they're just going way too fast, and ISU just couldn't keep up, right? St. Clair, a team that when they kind of get that steam behind them, they're a tough team to stop. And so ISU just has to be willing to not let them get started in the first place, right? If you're starting on defense on Oregon, you have that ability to really control that pace of play. So you're going to have to try to slow things down. Are they starting on defense? I believe this is St. Clair's map pick. So
It should be ISU defense.
yeah, if all things go how they probably should be, ISU should be starting on defense here. But we've seen them, at least I've seen them in personal experience, starting on defense on Oregon in the past, and things really haven't worked out for them so well. So it's just going to have to be a matter of, is ISU willing to try to set this tempo? Because once St. Clair gets rolling, they're really hard to stop.
Yeah, Coastline was all about tempo, and aggressive maps can often be tempo-based, momentum-based. Oregon isn't as aggressive as we've already talked about, but just based on the way St. Clair was playing, I would not be surprised if we do see them get quite aggressive, especially if we start out on the attack. I would not be surprised at all if they came out round number one just sprinting into the site. I mean, we saw how aggressive Vazdex was getting, clearly feeling confident. A hot drone at the feet, just chasing behind it as the Ash with the G36 and just frying people left and right. And that last round, even though he didn't end up winning that gunfight upstairs, that aggression still allowed him to take map control, cutting off some of those defenders from rotating back to the site. And that was equally effective as that kill could have been, because Cow, who instead of maybe getting a trade or getting that kill and being able to fight another day, he was simply pinned down, stuck, essentially dead for the remainder of the round, maybe just giving ISU a bit of false hope, and that is simply not going to get them anywhere. Going into Oregon, Taco, they need to start out strong. They've got to put together some good defenses or maybe attacks if they want to go that direction. But like you said, it's got to start out good for them because they do not have a ton of fond moments to speak of in this match so far. Looking to find some here in map 2.
Jonah, you bring up some really good points. Oregon is one of those maps that there are kind of two schools of thought when it comes to the attack. If you want to take it, very slow and methodically and just kind of, work your map control, try to push the defenders back and work your way into getting a plant, works great. It's tough to attack, but it works. But if you wanted to, just be, pedal to the metal balls to the wall, you're outside big window, you get cutoffs in small tower, and you're working your way up white stairs in the first 45 seconds. That's also pretty viable, and that could also work. And it just depends on what type of St. Clair we're going to see, because recent history in mind, I'm leaning towards door number 2, as they are a team that is more than willing to just go for those hero plays really early. And so it's just going to have to be a matter of how ISU tries to shut that down.
Well, I just took a brief look at the map history, the Oregon history of both of these teams, and honestly, Taco, there wasn't much to see. St. Clair, as far as my records show, played this map once, and it was against Tulsa. Just last series they played, the most recent one, and they actually ended up losing that, but taking Oregon, the first map and the only map they were able to secure in that back and forth best of 3. Now, Illinois State, on the other hand, I think they played Oregon against Minnesota in a sweaty back and forth win. But the other time they played Oregon, Taco, I'm sure you remember, was against NC State, against your
Mm.
team. And Snail and the entire team really was just, they were all over the place. So much so that Snail decided to end it early by just nitro selling himself at the end, really just in a bit of a last dash of hope that was quickly taken out of the ISU attack. And so for the Redbirds this time, they need to not do that. They need to show up here and they need to play like they played against Minnesota just one round ago.
Yeah, and it seems like the bans here are pretty standard, right? We're going to see Flores taken away immediately. We're going to see Thatcher off the board. This time, Thatcher's gone. But it's interesting, he didn't really make that big of an impact last map, despite him still being up. You'd think that the Thatcher would be something that's a lot, more important, but Illinois State ability to not even get near the building kind of hampered their ability to use his beautiful EMPs, and St. Clair just opted not to bring him entirely. But now Thatcher's off the board, and so we're probably going to see a little bit more standard play as these bans are leaning towards that.
Well, as things have shaken up here, obviously we've got an idea of the bans now, and we have confirmed that Illinois State will be starting on the defense as we initially suspect. So, in doing so, they'll be looking to start off on the right foot, and they will be choosing dorms to do that. Looks like they've actually also made a substitution in the meantime. I get mad Zooted will be taking the place of Fortra, who I believe Snail has been explaining that he is on IR. He's on the injured reserve, something to do with a hand injury. They brought Fortra in for map 1 and clearly that did not pay off. So they will be replacing Fortra with, yes, I get mad Zooted Taco. We're going to have to figure out a way to abbreviate that name to keep us sane.
Yeah, Zooted, a player that we don't know much about, but we find him on the Jaeger, so he's going to be, he's got some pretty big shoes to fill here as Fortra unfortunately is unable to continue play. I'm sure, Snell's kind of played that one pretty close to the chest, so I don't really know exactly what he means by injury reserve, if it's like a serious, physical injury that is preventing him to play, even though he just played an entire map. So not really sure how that works out, but maybe it's a flare up. It's kind of a thing where it's off sun, on sun. He put on some icy hot and was able to tough it out for a map, but just got too much for him. But Harabic here showing that maybe Illinois State isn't trying to slow down the pace of play. Maybe they're trying to speed it up, and Rapid is going to try to punish that. Somehow the Warden is able to escape the 150 spray, and that's honestly, if I'm an Illinois State fan, that's kind of concerning to see.
Well, concerning to see ISU getting targeted so early and Haravic missing a couple of shots, but also it's good to see that he got away relatively safely. St. Clair weren't able to secure that kill, so Haravic will get a second life, at least in round number 1, and he'll have to fight another day or take another gunfight a bit later. For now, St. Clair will begin approaching this site in a pretty standard way. You've got JM leading the Maverick trick, being assisted by his teammate over in the north side towards Attic, and you've got the other 3 teammates working their way in on the master side. Vazdex walking downstairs towards classroom, looking up through those floor holes, and taking down Snail, the player who, as he said in the chat earlier, was going to continue swinging and was going to continue fragging out. Vazdex, of course, not allowing that to happen.
Yes, now St. Clair is just really taking advantage of maybe not the map control that they earned, but maybe the map control they've just been given, as Illinois State has kind of all fallen back into what they assume is the safetiest site. But Vazdex is showing just how dangerous a comfy, cozy site can be as he swings out and takes Harabic down pretty easily. And Kringle now in a pretty tough situation with 2 attackers in dip. Those floor holes, once an advantage, now going to be the detriment, as Kringle's going to fall to Kinger, and Cow and Zooted have a lot to do as the plant goes down, and Kinger is going to find 2 more, swinging into Kids and taking out the remaining 2 defenders in pretty easy fashion.
Yeah, that was another good start for St. Clair. There's no question about that. Rolling through that site with relative ease, they were playing aggressive and they did not waste time. The moment they saw an opening, they decided to pounce. Exactly what we anticipated here on the Oregon attack, and that is exactly the way they wanted to start. We're going to have to see ISU step it up across the board, and they need to do it as soon as humanly possible. If St. Clair is allowed to get 3, even 4 rounds, I don't know if I can see ISU making a comeback on the attack. At that point, they would have only had 5-6 rounds over the course of 2 maps, and St. Clair would still be holding that momentum firmly. So only time will tell how ISU can bounce back, but going down here to the basement, this is where they're hoping to make their final stand, or at least another stand.
Yeah, Illinois State here going down to the basement, and this is a site where, having all 5 players downstairs can still be somewhat viable, right? It's probably not advised, and it's, really going to cede a lot of map control to the attackers, but it's something that is a little bit more doable. When it's upstairs like that, the last round, I mean, St. Clair was on site, you know, with a minute and 30 left max, and that was not because they played incredibly fast. It's just that they had drones and they realized that, hey, Illinois State, the Redbirds, seem to have headed back to the nest as they just have given them the entire map. Thank you, I appreciate it. But despite, you know, a little bit of early aggression from Harabic, once, you know, his spawn peak didn't work out, it was back home for him, and St. Clair just kind of swallowed them whole, making their way through Attic pretty easily, getting that main breach open, because you're not bringing Cade, you're bringing a Mute, which makes it a lot easier to deal with, despite the fact that, you know, St. Clair was in Classroom anyway, so it wouldn't really have mattered much. But regardless, they're just making really quick work of it because Illinois is just kind of allowing them to.
Here comes Vazdex again. I mean, what's new? Already down in Freezer. His position, though, revealed because shooting out that camera and this mirror window staring him square in the face means that he will not be able to push down these stairs uncontested. Kringle will quickly swing out once he senses pressure is building, and Cow, sitting right behind, will also likely follow in his footsteps. So to pivot from this approach now, St. Clair will be working their way in from another side, or at least trying to change something up. Is that Zooted? I think that's Zooted, the Kaid, hiding his way in T1. No, it's
the Warden.
It's Harabic. It's the Warden.
Oh, gosh.
Just sitting close with his shotgun. Vazdex check the corner. He's not going to look the right way. He claims the life of Cow, but a sneaky Harabic will answer right back. Now Harabic is pinned against a wall. He's got 3 players and a frag grenade being tossed right onto his head. One nade is going to miss, but the headshot from Rapid will not. Near disaster strikes for St. Clair, but they're able to respond.
Hey, you know what? Fair play. I mean, you know, you got a frag, you wasted some time, you took out 2 nades from an attacker that's still alive. J and Beast now left nadeless, with a lot of utility still on site for ISU that could prove pretty vital. It just depends on how well St. Clair is able to scrounge up what utility they have left and deal with these remaining shields. J and Beast now going to dispense of that hatch pretty easily. The Maverick, you know, doing what he does best. And now they do realize that the shield here with a snail tucked behind it is what's going to be between them and a swift victory on this downstairs site.
Kringle, trained on this laundry stairs doorway, knows somebody's coming down the stairs, but they will do so, and they will win the fight. Kinger winning that fight. I have no idea how that's allowed to happen, but Zooted will claim that kill in response. Snail will take down Rapid, but wow, that was not clean. He now has 1 HP, and whipping out the pistol, he'll have to fight against Gangstology. Zooted is supporting him, but Snail wins it out with the pistol. He flicks around and just shoots him in the foot. I mean, he's got the red ping, so that is more than enough to assist that. And what looked like a round from St. Clair, ISU snatched it right out of their hands, taking a successful basement defense, the first one in a while.
Zophia's got to get that refrag there, right? Like, I don't want to be too harsh, but that's the round right there. That should have been easily dealt with. I mean, Snail on the Jaeger was just kind of a fish in a barrel there, right? That deployable shield that he had as his only cover was also could have been easily a coffin, right? He was stuck in that corner. He had nowhere to go. And yet the pre-fire from the Zofia with 150 bullets still wasn't enough. I mean, credit to Snail. I hate to say it. Credit to Snail. He won the gunfights when he had to. He looked a little bit lost in the process, but I feel like it wouldn't be our boy Snail if that wasn't the case. And he won that round out in his own fashion. And so, hey, you know, props to him.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
And shooting someone in the foot with a pistol is
That's
doing the job.
You gotta do it.
Gotta do it. And he did it. It's a great job. Great job. He'll find himself top fragging now for ISU, which has been an odd recipe for their success as of late. Because when Snail is popping off, I don't know, maybe the coordination is better because he's not yelling at his teammates. I really have no idea what goes on in the heads of these ISU players, but when Snail is at the helm, they seem to button things up, tighten it up, and start to find some success. We'll have to see how that continues here in round number 3. ISU staying far away from the primary bomb site of dorms and actually heading straight for the tertiary. Meeting and kitchen now coming out. An odd decision considering the challenge that most teams have with holding this one down, and considering how vulnerable this site is to aggressive plays, something that Vazdex is a better display for us.
We say that, but I feel like this could actually end up working out in ISU's favor, because this site is one that forces you to kind of spread out a little bit, right? Kind of maintain a lot of map control. And so even though that is difficult, it is doable, but it seems like St. Clair has opted to just ignore that map control entirely, seeing this soft wall that Harabic has opened up for them, and now things are starting to pop off. 4 players on this small tower side are just going to try to funnel through one doorway with no top floor control. Vazdek's going to find one through the drone hole. Harabic's going to fall, but Snail is going to find one in return, persisting in this security room that is going to be crucial to maintaining. Once again, Snail has just been absolutely ignored by the attackers. JMBeast is going to have to try to find this Jaeger if they want to win this round. The nade going to come out, but he's just going to fall to Cow, who's there holding that cross, and is now left just down to the Buck as he is going up white stairs, trying to take the map control that definitely had to have been taken in the first place if they wanted to go for that attack, and now he has it all to do in a 1v3.
Reaper on the corner looking for the first. Behind red box, and here comes Kringle. He'll go for the wide swing, and he finishes it out for ISU. Put it on the shoulders of Snail, put it on the shoulders of Kringle, but regardless, it is a fantastic win for Illinois State. I said St. Clair were going to get aggressive, and they did, but man, did it not pay off at all. Taco, you were absolutely spot on with your prediction. St. Clair, they spread out a little too much, and they got complacent. They did not check basic angles, and they let some players slip around unnoticed. Snail was one of them, sitting prone in security, getting multiple kills in that round. And wow, just like that, ISU have taken the first lead of this series.
I have to know what's going on in those St. Clair comms, because you see, once again, by the way, a little side note, Illinois State is just ignoring top floor like it's the plague. They did not like how that felt, and they are deciding just to stick to this first floor where they feel nice and safe. But back to what I was saying, St. Clair, I mean, they saw that soft wall in kitchen and just thought, oh, this is so easy. They have totally neglected this. So we don't need to take top floor control. We don't need to worry about security. We don't need to worry about green hall, any of that stuff that is very detrimental to a push straight from dining. They just totally ignored it, and they paid the ultimate price for it. St. Clair, their aggression is now starting to look like a bit of, I don't want to say ignorance, but maybe it's just overconfidence. It seems like they're saying that our gun skill can win us the game, and so we don't necessarily need to be the most strategically sound. But Illinois State, they fought back, and they're maybe making St. Clair rethink their battle strategy just a little bit.
Are they, though? Are they going to change something up and rethink this? I don't know if Vazdex has it in him right now to slow down. At least so far, we're 30 seconds in, and he hasn't died or found a kill. So that's already a marked difference from what we saw from him on Coastline. But already, we're going to see Rapid looking to engage on the site, and no way.
What?
That was through the barricade, through the security wall, Snail taken down in the security doorway. A veritable sitting duck, and he will fall, but a lucky shot nonetheless. Great intel use from St. Clair to make that one happen, but now they have to be careful not to throw this one right back, because Vazdex is now walking himself into a crossfire. He'll get one, but Harabic gets the trade. Spot on work from him. Vazdex did not know what he was dealing with, and he'll pay the price even after getting the first. Now Rapid is going to throw his life away by face-checking an angle. Cow now gets a double kill, leaving Gangstology all alone to fight against 3. Harabic will hit the floor, but Gangstology still has to find 2 more players. Work his way upstairs, knowing somebody's lurking around behind, and a perfect headshot. Great flick onto Kringle, but Harabic is going to get picked up in the meantime. Cow, who has been utterly unstoppable in this round,
hated that,
is going to be looking to find a few more. Gangstology, now in the site, has to recover this diffuser and might find one, but Cow is too quick on the draw. A triple kill from the man himself, and ISU take 3 in a row.
It's just lazy, isn't it? I mean, it seems that seems overly negative, but it's just so lazy. St. Clair are just like, you know, hey, let me get my guns into sight, and then we'll just win it like we did on Coastline. But this isn't Coastline, right? This is a map that's relies a little bit more on, dare I say the T word, teamwork to actually win you out rounds. People want to call it Vazdex University or Team Vazdex, but that's not going to be enough here. You have to be St. Clair. And right now, Illinois State, they're not being Team Cow, they're not being Team Harabic, they're not being Team Snail. They might be being Team Snail, I'm not sure. They're being Illinois State. They're working as a unit here. They're playing their crossfires well. They're taking the map control. I have to say it, Harabic. On the Elo right there, you just gotta swing him. I know it's Vazdex. I know he's on a heater, but Cade right there should not have died. That round should have ended a lot earlier than it did. But, he ended up closing it out anyways. And Illinois State with a 3-1 lead, if they can keep this up, this is going to be a really big shift in not only the momentum, but also the tone of this game.
I mean, the tone of this entire series has shifted completely in my mind, at least, Taco. I mean, it still feels like St. Clair, are the better team for some reason, at least in the first half of every round we've seen. I mean, in the last 3 rounds, St. Clair has looked like they were going to win it at some point in every single one.
Right.
Without fail. I don't know if they have a switch in their LAN facility that they keep flipping that's let's throw the round switch. But whatever it may be, they're flipping that switch. They're clicking that button, and they've done it 3 times in a row. They are not checking basic corners. They are neglecting to drone even the most basic of positions, and they are allowing miracle plays to work from Illinois State. And St. Clair have now dug themselves into a hole. Of course, this is attack on Oregon, so you don't have to play extremely well. You don't have to get a ton of rounds, but
let's go.
Yet again, this is becoming a complete disaster. That's 2 more lives they're going to throw away. It's your 2 fraggers as well. It's Vazdex and Rapid, who will both be on the business end of Harabic's shotgun. And yeah, I mean, St. Clair are just tossing this one rather quickly, it seems.
You want to talk about droning normal spots. I mean, security is something that you need to check immediately. Gangstology is going to finally nip that in the bud, but not before Harabic was able to not only remove almost a minute and a half from the clock, but also your 2 entry fraggers from the board. Now Smoke, something that you usually see the Smoke alive late round winning rounds, but it looks like Smoke this time is trying to do that pretty early. And so now it's just left to these 4 defenders on site to finish the job that the Smoke started. Gangstology, though, a player that has shown that he can be pretty adept with this AK-12, is going to have a lot to do as him and the Buck are working their way down this freezer stairs.
Bingle is ready for this one, but not going to stop that Selma from going off. He'll have to rely on his teammate, Cow, who will swing out perfectly and get that done. Nobody was pressuring that position, so no real problem for them to deal with that. But in the meantime, Kringle distracted, and JM sneaks up behind. Great C4, though, from Zooted to clap right back, shutting down JM and leaving Gangstology and Kinger to fight for themselves. Gangstology now creeping up the freezer door, looking for Cow here, who's also looking to strike back as well. Great shot, a headshot there onto Kinger, and now it's going to be Gangstology. We'll swing around the corner, good pre-fire onto Cow. That will land, but Snail is hungry for more. Both of these ISU defenders know exactly where Gangstology is located, and with only 30 seconds and only 1 avenue to push through, this is not looking good for the ace. Both Snail and Zooted are not going to challenge this fight head-on. They know they have the diffuser isolated. They know Gangstology has nothing in the way of hope in this round. Only 10 seconds to work with and only 2 frags to find. A great flick from Snail to finish it off. Didn't think I'd be saying that one at all tonight, but really I am. And I'm also going to have to say that St. Clair have lost all of their ability to play this game, and Illinois State have sucked it right out of them and are now jumping out to a 4-1 lead.
Again, we have defense here on Oregon, and this has allowed Illinois State to set the pace, right? That first round we saw where St. Clair looked like St. Clair and Coastline, where they just were kind of running over everybody. They made their way onto site almost immediately, which, you kind of do on Coastline for free because all the sites are right by the outside. But here on Oregon, they made their way to site just for free, right? Illinois State gave it all to them. And then St. Clair, they tried to get even faster, and that didn't work. And they're like, we didn't go fast enough. We got to go faster. And Illinois State was there to punish it, right? And this time we saw them punish it even more, sneaking a Smoke of all people up into security, just sitting on an electrified hatch, waiting for 2 St. Clair attackers to just wander their way in. No drone, none the wiser. And that shotgun sometimes can be inconsistent, but not that time, as 2 pumps was all it took to take off not only your first entry, but also your second entry. And just like that, St. Clair, they really had nothing going for them in this downstairs attack, which is an attack where you need pressure from a lot of spaces, right? You can't just put down Freezer. You can't just push down main because there are so many crossfires. That's what makes attacking downstairs difficult, but also it makes it difficult to defend if you are an attacking team that's working from a lot of angles that are denying those crossfires by having crossfires of your own. But St. Clair forfeiting 2 attackers early by lazy drone work just did not have that as an option.
Well, St. Clair, they are now on their final. They're making their final stand on this attack. They need this. They need this last round. There is no question about that, and they need to change something up about how they're approaching this one. But as far as Vazdex is concerned, nothing is going to change. He's already going to be on the solo entry and looking for frags at the onset of this round. This time, finally, he'll be joined by his teammate Rapid, and he'll successfully force Zooted up the white stairs. But Zooted is also eager to challenge. I mean, the confidence and the swing, the momentum swing that has really taken place in this game is unbelievable, and ISU are looking to capitalize. Unfortunately for Zooted, it's not going to work as he goes for the second swing, and Vazdex was more than ready. Combine that with Kinger locking off the player from Attic, there was no support available to his teammate, and actually Kringle is going to be forced to tuck here in what could be a do-or-die position. Thankfully for him, he'll be able to escape and drop down the hatch before Vazdex sneaks around with the drone at his feet. But he'll actually take the fight on the hatch, and Kringle will somehow win that out. Great shot there by the Wamai. That's going to equalize us in a 4v4.
It's hard not to roll my eyes because it's just the same thing. I mean, this time, hey, I'll give him credit. There, I saw St. Clair players holding angles. I saw them doing the right things. But once again, it's just really aggressive early in the round. But it's still a 4v4. They have the top floor control, and this time they seem to be going for the small tower attack right. But Kinger, as I say that, the top floor control has kind of been destroyed as he finds himself on the wrong end of Snail's 416C. Now Jay and Beast, without that top floor control, is going to have to make his way into a kitchen area that is rife with crossfires. But Gangstology and Rapid there to help him out. I spoke too soon. Rapid is going to be taken off the board as Cow, showing that this Roni is still a weapon to be messed with. Gangstology once again going to have to try to do the most in this late round to bring things back. He knows that this castle is screaming away in Freezer and just decides to ignore him and try to take out the player on site. Gangstology is going to find Snail through the Aruni, which is very unfortunate for the Jaeger. But now Harabic's going to take out J and Beast as he's trying to plant, leaving it all now just to the ace. Once again, I feel like this is the same story as previous rounds. Now Gangstology in a very difficult 1v3.
Yeah, he's on the hunt for these frags. He knows there's pretty much no chance he's going to get this diffuser down. And, well, one frag is going to be found. A great shot onto Kringle, but he still has to find both Cow and Harabic if he doesn't want to get this diffuser on the ground. I mean, hell, even if he does, he's got to pick up the diffuser, which is sitting in a brutal crossfire, and Harabic is more than ready for Gangstology to go for the swing. He'll walk through, crouch through the security, rotate, and find himself straight into his 6-foot Brave. So ISU with a phenomenal first half on Oregon. They come out on defense and they take 5 out of the 6 rounds, punishing St. Clair for the repeated blatant mistakes that we saw from a seemingly put together attack in that last map.
And I don't even want to say it's Illinois State just outgunning St. Clair, because I don't think it's that. Right? We see Vazdex when he's on the entry with those drones in front of him, still finding those frags, dispatching the Cade pretty easily and getting top floor control pretty swiftly. But after that, that's when things start to fall apart. When you have to switch from what we talked about, I feel like we're going to say it a lot, from that clearing mode to that executing mode is where St. Clair just really struggled. But it's a different story now, right? We're singing a different tune. St. Clair no longer has to worry about trying to get in that site and put down the diffuser. They're just trying to keep Illinois State from doing just that. And so now that St. Clair are able to dictate this pace of play a little bit more, is it going to help them, or are we just going to see more of the same?
Great question, Taco. Great question. One that we'll have on our answer to in just a moment, because St. Clair, they've got to get something going. They really do. And on defense, we've seen what they can do if they're playing together, and honestly, if they're just playing aggressive. But as we've seen so far in Oregon, and as we prefaced coming into this map, the same aggression from St. Clair is simply not going to work. Their formula for success on Coastline will not successfully translate over to Oregon. And if that first half wasn't a perfect example of that, I don't know what is. They tried aggressive attacks. They tried to ignore basic steps, just skipping half the checklist of a pretty standard attack, and that cost them big time. So it's now ISU's turn to show us what a proper attack looks like. How are they going to correct the mistakes that St. Clair made on the other side of the coin? And already you can see them looking like a more put together team. They're droning after all, which is not something we really felt them work with a lot on Coastline.
When you're up 5-1, it's really easy to get kind of overly aggressive. But it seems like Illinois State has kind of learned their lesson from Coastline. Maybe they took, kind of ate their vegetables the first map and kind of learned that St. Clair is going to play incredibly aggressive, and now they're kind of using that information to their advantage. The Jackal, I think, is a very smart pick, as it does help these attackers try to weed out these roamers that are no doubt going to try to persist in pretty tough to clear spots. But Rapid is going to find Harabic and dispatch him regardless of any roam clear that they're working with. And there still is a very difficult area to clear here as Vazdex finds yet another one.
Yeah, 2 openers for St. Clair, and, well, you know what that means. They're going to continue to get more aggressive, and Vazdex goes for just a swing out in the open, and Snail, despite knowing Vazdex's position, will get fried anyway. Zooted will walk into his grave as well, as Gangstology was holding that angle before Zooted could even swing it himself, and Kringle is going to be left alive, but the last player standing AFK, basically, in the basement. I really do expect him to sit out the rest of the round and use this as an essential tactical timeout and talk this one over with his team. And good time to do that, because at 5-1, you have a lot of leeway to work with, Taco. And just one round slipping away is not a big deal, as long as you take the time to correct those mistakes. And Kringle will take, 20 seconds to do that before eventually deciding to bite the bullet, quite literally in this case, as he will just walk into the full spray of that player on the top of the freezer stairs.
St. Clair, they're showing once again that when they're in the driver's seat, it's tough to get them off course. Illinois State brought just about all you could to deal with roamers. You had the Nomad, you had the Zero, you had the Jackal, right? That's a roamer's worst nightmare. I look at that lineup right now, and I am just like, I think I'm going to stay on site. But St. Clair doubled down. They said, nope. You know what? You can know where I am, but you're still going to have to win a gunfight with me. And unfortunately, Illinois State was just not able to do that. I say unfortunately for them. St. Clair, though, they're looking strong, right? This is their favorite site, obviously, is site number 1. So maybe, it's still a bit of an uphill battle. It definitely is being down 2-5. But this is a great first step if you're a fan of the of St. Clair.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Saints here, they are potentially beginning a comeback. We know what they can do with the momentum, so all they have to do is secure it and regain the confidence that they had in our first map of the night. I know I talk a lot about momentum here, especially in this matchup, but I hate to sound like a broken record, Taco, but it really does feel that has dominated the game thus far. I mean, teams are going on incredible round streaks. We saw it on Coastline. It was 4 in a row from St. Clair. And then we're seeing it again here on Oregon. It was 5 rounds in a row from Illinois State. If that's not an indicator of a very momentum-based game, I don't know what is. They'll have to respond, though, and prevent the momentum from swinging back and prevent St. Clair from going on a run of their own. And they'll do so here on the basement site as they gear up for a potential bunker push.
Downstairs is a site that can be really difficult to roam clear just because defenders have access to the entire site, but it can also be one that's somewhat easy to ignore, especially if you have a very strong flank watch. In this case, you got 2, or maybe even 3 if you count the Jackal. So, if you're Illinois State here, you can just try to work blue. You can just try to work back tower stairs and just try to make your way onto site and just trusting in your flank watch to hold things down. It looks like ISU hasn't even made their way into big tower yet. They're just being incredibly patient, but that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because once again, this site has pretty easy access if you are making your way just from backside.
Oh, things open up with a positive note for ISU this time. Vazdex, yet again, too aggressive for his own good on the Oryx, interestingly enough. And the Yana will take him down. So, good start for Cal. Good start for ISU as a whole. Maybe that's exactly what they need to kick this one off on the right foot. It'll actually get them over to match point if they can hold things together. Rapid is the next player in their line of sight. Cal's line of sight in particular, as he will sit here on the tower stairs and throw a couple of nades down range, but that deployable shield will still remain up and in this fight. A couple of ADSs will deny that grenade. Now Cal is going down to see exactly what he's dealing with. He knows he's dealing with Rapid, but he knew that already. Now Illinois State actually have to force him out.
Yeah, Illinois State putting a lot of this map, or of this round, excuse me, on this backstairs push, and it's not going to be an easy one. You have the head holes to deal with. You have a player on pillar to deal with a shield that's now been dispatched, and you don't even have this hatch open, which once you kill that roamer, maybe you could try to focus on that hatch and just get a little bit more control, make it a little bit easier for your team to clear pillars. But it looks like this backstairs push is going to be maybe a little bit of subterfuge now as the team is starting to rotate a bit, get this hatch open. And now the attack is starting to try to smother these remaining defenders on the site.
Easier said than done, though. They still have 4 players to find. Yes, they have a man advantage, but they are in a very bad spot. Zooted, after all, is completely isolated on the other side of the map. And Kinger seems to know exactly that. Doesn't matter for Cal, though, because he'll collect a kill in the meantime. Kinger, though, will find the kill that he was expected to get. Now, the rest of this ISU push is going to be geared up on this north side, but only 10 seconds remain for them to get something done, and they are going to walk right into their own graves. Rapid gets 1, Gangstology gets 2, and Harabic is now left alone with no time to work with. Rapid caught looking the other way, but Harabic has no time because St. Clair masterfully ran out the clock, and ISU let the time get the better of them.
St. Clair, they brought that one back. Maybe they didn't bring it back. Maybe Illinois State just refused to try to get it themselves, right? They got that roamer pick pretty early. They had back tower control pretty early, and yet they sat there and did really nothing with it until about 45 seconds. Then they're like, oh, we should probably get this hatch. Maybe we should send somebody down main. Maybe we should try to actually start pressuring this player on elbow. And once they did, they got those entry frags pretty easily, right? The elbow player is dealt with pretty easily, and all of a sudden it's a 5v3 on site, but there's no time. Illinois State are, they're trying to play the patient game, but at some point, you know what I'm going to say? It's that transition from clearing to executing. And Illinois State is maybe having the opposite problem of St. Clair, of instead of trying to slow down and actually, work the site and actually find where these crossfires are and clear them out, they need to speed up, and they need to actually start making leeway from this area that they've cleared into the site where they can actually start getting the plant down.
Well, St. Clair, after 2 successful defensive rounds in a row, they will now shift to their tertiary bomb site of choice, which will also be meeting and kitchen. So ISU hoping that they can finally find some attacking success. After all, they have been close. They've been on the precipice of attacking success in that last round as well, but they just let things slip away. The utility game from St. Clair was a little bit too good.
Nice.
And ISU simply ran out of time.
Vazdex getting bored with taking gunfights, it seems, trying to go for the cheese spawn peak. Look, it's whatever, man. Whatever. Do you, I suppose. You have a red charm, I don't. Sorry.
You don't?
I know, I'm incredibly bad. I struggle for purple with a 0.8 KD. What can I say? Did that get too personal? It's not about me. Sorry. I use this as a therapy session. I'm not on the couch. I'm at a desk. I need to act like it. That's on me, guys. It won't happen again. Promise.
You know what? It's okay, man. I'm here for you. I'm here for your bad KD.
It's just been so hard, It's just... Oh.
You still managed to absolutely destroy people in comp. So, I mean, what can you ask for, really? I mean,
dropping
18 kills the other day. I mean, nothing could stop.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, ISU, nobody's dropping 18 kills right now. Cow, Snail, and Harabic are tied near the top. Man, we are seeing some high-class gameplay, aren't we? And we are seeing We're seeing some interesting stuff here. Harabic will claim the kill and actually find his 8th kill now that I mentioned his numbers and join Cal at the top of this leaderboard. And St. Clair will once again be the victim of the opening frag. So crossing 90 seconds, they now have to be quite careful because ISU are beginning to roll through with quite a lot of fervor from the split side of things. Zooted making that even more certain, removing Kinger from play. Now Cow is on the hunt for another. The X-Kairos pellet's going to open up that split wall. JM now under a lot of pressure. He'll be forced back as the Jackal Nox scanner will force them out and identify the position of these last 2 defenders. A perfect nade from Cow, and JM says goodnight. Gangstology with 81 bullets, but it's 81 blind bullets for him, and he is not going to be able to help his teammate Rapid, who dies to Haravic's gun. And now, with the diffuser planted, is Gangstology against the world. He'll find 1 kill. I don't even know where Cow was sitting, but he will quickly get refragged, and ISU finally stop the bleeding.
Great work there from the Nomad of Harabic, getting himself, I believe he got himself in downstairs and was able to cut off those rotates of the players like Vazdex and work himself up Freezer and just find those picks. Once you deal with those roamers, the site's not that scary. And ISU is maybe starting to learn that. Obviously, this is a tertiary site, so it's definitely difficult to hold if you are St. Clair, but Illinois State still showed that they're not, maybe they realize that they need to not shy away from the conflict, but maybe take it head on once you have those picks. Obviously, take it slow early. Try to figure out where these roamers are because they have been all over the place. But then once you have those roamers dealt with, it's time to start working on that site. And they did just that. They got a breach on the wall. They got a player in split. They dealt with, the player on site with some great drone work and a beautiful nade. And, Bob's your uncle. That's how the round goes.
St. Clair now with an unsuccessful tertiary defense. They're going to head back to their first defensive site of choice. They're going to head back to dorms now, where they really need to regain some of the glory they had on this site, regain that confidence right back in their direction. Because ISU, because they took this meeting kitchen attack just 1 round ago, that now means that St. Clair needs to complete a perfect rotation in order to send this one to overtime at the very least. That perfect rotation will have to include both of the sites they've won already and one of the sites that have eluded them thus far. They're either going to have to retry meeting or maybe head over to kitchen and dining instead, but either way, they need to make some significant changes, and as far as Vazdex is concerned, there are going to be no changes in terms of the aggression. Continuing to go for these window peaks, but this time with the pistol, just feeling as confident as ever. But just based on that, seeing the way that these St. Clair defenders are playing, it doesn't seem to me, Taco, that they want to close things out on Oregon. Maybe they want to make us stay up another hour and play map 3.
It seems like that might be the case, but Illinois State, despite extending our stay here in this series, as it seems so far, I don't want to get ahead of myself, it seems like they're trying to make it as quick as possible despite all that, because they're making pretty easy work of this so far. They had trouble dealing with the first 2 sites, but not as much anymore, as Vazdex is going to try to use that Ella shotgun to its full potential, but Cow has done the exact same with that Zofia LMG, and just like that, once again, Vazdex, your first player off the board once again.
Not too much of a surprise, given the way he's been playing these last few rounds. Seeing the support player of Gangstology at the top of the leaderboard really just shows that, really tells you what kind of style of play is working right now on Oregon and what style is not working at all. And the style that's not working is Vazdex's style. That is simply not working at all against a revised and refined ISU who have stopped allowing themselves to be surprised by aggression. If they can just get through this one more round, they will find themselves on map 3, which is going to be a whole nother beast if we get there, considering it's Chalet. But our focus will remain on match point here with a minute to go. Illinois State still need to secure a bit of map control. They have been unable to secure thus far. They've got Zooted on the big window. They've got pressure in attic, and now they've got this master wall breach wide open. JM, the next player in their line of sight, they're going to have to deal with this deployable shield if they want to actually get this push going. 2 deployable shields, in fact, 1 right over that default plant spot. So with 40 seconds remaining, ISU still have a couple of tasks to get done, but they've got a lot of time to do it.
Jay and Beast with not a lot of room to move. King are going to find one, but the remaining defenders here unaware of Zooted hopping in big window, using the smoke to get in. Harabic's going to find your player top white. It's left now just to the Mozzie and the Jaeger, whose positions have been found out. The plant's going down. Mozzie has a lot to do as Rapid does find Harabic though, but the plant is going to go down regardless, and the Mozzie is going to fall. Rapid now getting another one, finding themselves in a 1v1, but can Rapid try to get this defuse off? Now, the attack and defense roles have switched once again. Kringle, though, going to get baited out by that first defuse, but the swing was just too quick for Rapid to deal with. Rapid on low HP has to play this incredibly smart, but Kringle is there. The Ella stun, not going to allow him to see him. He's right there! Oh my gosh! Oh no! That's my, I feel like, you know what? Hey, before all the question marks in chat, before all that, let's slow down for a second. Maybe he didn't see what we saw. You know what? I just want to get ahead of the media firestorm. The media firestorm is going to take over, and we can't let it get out of control. No fake news here, all right? Maybe he just couldn't see, or maybe he's blind. I don't know. You gotta. That's unfortunate. The Elamine, Vazdex. He might have died early,
Vazdex
but he clutched out that round.
He's so big brain.
Big brain.
He's so big brain.
But obviously there's a lot more to that round than just that. You have the post plant there, and you just let the Jaeger get all up in your bits. For lack of a better, there's better terms, but for me, there's a lack of a better term. The Jaeger got up in their bits. Illinois State was doing great. They gave St. Clair a taste of their own medicine from the very first round of this map. They got that entry pick, and they were just constricting like a wild jungle snake. They're just constricting them. But then once that plant got down, they didn't back up, right? They didn't let off the reins, and they just, the remaining defenders, they won their gunfights. A really good heads up play from Zooted there, getting in big window, finding that entry, taking out the mute, who's going to be a big challenge for the planter to deal with that nitro, but he was dealt with, right? And so you got that plant down, and then you just chill. But due to the location of that plant, right in that top white rotate, because you had Harabic pushing up white stairs, a good plant spot, but a tough spot to defend post plant. And St. Clair, to their credit, won that one out. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I can't believe the Elamine from Vazdex is the reason that round was won. It is unbelievable. We were absolutely dogging on Vazdex from being just making one of the stupidest decisions ever. Again, and somehow it's his big brain that actually wins out the day, or at least the round. But could prove very clutch going forward.
All brain, no aim. That's Vazdex, right? It's just he's a thinker. That's what they say.
Apparently.
So credit to him.
He'll be thinking now on the Warden though, and he'll be thinking how he can escape the now building pressure from Illinois State as they start to work their drones in from the main lobby side, identifying these few players, and this time he will strike first. Rapid will join his teammate in the scoreboard, shutting down Cow, and this one is going St. Clair's way. Finally, they can say, at least. I mean, you don't have Illinois State claiming these opening picks, and yet again, there's Vazdex on a heater. His big brain carrying him through that last round, and actually clearly inspiring him enough to get several frags, shutting down Illinois State before they could even get close to the site. He'll actually get picked up, but Snail, hearing that sound cue, will capitalize and will indeed remove Vazdex. Kinger drops down in the meantime, and actually this one is not over just yet. Wait, okay, so Kinger was the player who ended up dying to Harabic. Okay, great job there from Snail and Harabic to make that kill happen, but man, that was almost messy.
Yeah, Harabic and Snail now with a lot to do, but plenty of utility to get it done. Snail able to clear out those hatches and give these remaining two attackers plenty of avenues onto the site, and they're opening up barricades. They're making the defenders not sure of where they're going to push. J&B is now going to rotate some utility to help quell that front side push, and there's still plenty to deal with anything that comes from the backside. So St. Clair should have this all wrapped up. All that's missing is the neat little bow, but crazier things have happened, maybe in the last 3 minutes. So Harabic and Snail, they still have a bit of a chance here if they're able to find a quick opening pick here and try to get a little bit of control into the site.
Arabic looking to make this one happen. They've got the crossfire they need, but the problem is, how the heck is Snail going to get into this site? I mean, he's only got one entry, and that's the freezer door, and Harabic is going to turn his back to Gangstology, had no idea where he was positioned, and that's going to cost him and Snail his life. A fantastic comeback from St. Clair, not in this round in particular, but over the last 2 rounds. ISU were on the verge of sending us to map 3, and just like that, St. Clair are now on the verge of sending us to overtime, sitting only 1 round away from getting that goal complete. But Taco, there is one big problem standing in their way. St. Clair need to figure out a way to win their tertiary bomb site of Meeting and Kitchen. They were unable to do it last time. I don't know if this one's going to be any different.
The main thing that concerns me, if I'm Illinois State here, is this round last time was won off the back of 2 pretty easy and early picks. Both got on the back of 1v1 gunfights. Those gunfights easily could have gone the other way and made that a very different round for St. Clair and Illinois State. So once again, it's just reliant on you guys getting those opening gunfight wins. If they can do that, then maybe we'll see a replay and maybe we'll find ourselves on map 3. But if St. Clair can kind of tighten things up, right, and make Illinois State come into them and make them not get this win but take it from them, then that's when we're going to see St. Clair thrive, in my estimation.
Yeah, St. Clair have been thriving on some hero plays, but they've also been thriving, you know, on the work that their teammates are doing to support each other. When one teammate starts popping off, it seems like everyone follows in their footsteps, and also gets a handful of frags to boot. So
Most of
it. JM has found, what, 3 kills over 2 maps so far?
But there were really a lot of frags to go around on Coastline. I'll give him that. But, I mean, you've died 8 times here. So that's, I would say, at least 4 gunfights, if I'm being generous.
Yeah, that's not ideal for him, especially coming out of trying to prove that his spot on St. Clair is should be a permanent one. Trying to get rid of the captain is always a messy endeavor. Mutiny is not always the easiest thing to complete, but it seems that St. Clair are thriving with their leader back in step. They just need 1 more round to confirm that, to send us at the very least to overtime, where they will begin on the defense and they can start off on the right foot.
St. Clair here, it seems like they are playing this one pretty close to the chest, and that might pay them dividends. Right? They gave up 2 early picks. But one thing to keep in mind is we do have 1 player sneakily stowed away in top of Small Tower, and that is something that could come back to do some serious damage to the attackers if they're not careful. Small Tower being the farthest west side on the map. But Snail, Cow, and the like are working their way here on this east side, but Vazdex is going to get aggressive in Z. Now, if I'm this player in Classroom, you hear Vazdex right here. You hear him. And you also hear him destroy all of your Hibana pellets. And you now are trying to swing and take him out, but Vazdex has smartly backed off and is now going to try to continue to keep this pressure up, but also keep himself alive, which I think is huge if you're the side of St. Clair.
Yeah, keeping Vazdex alive here is massive, because this position is putting so much pressure on Illinois State. They do not know what to do with it. Vazdex will burn a C4 and now burn through Cow just a little bit, but a perfectly placed air jab will cost Vazdex his life. Great work there from Snail in combination with Harabic to shut down the player who was shutting down that split take that Illinois State were trying to complete. Now they will refocus, but with 45 seconds remaining, Vazdex, very effective on that time waste, but rapid, caught sleeping, and a fantastic shot from Zooted. All of a sudden, Illinois State look on the verge of taking this one. It's going to have to be a clutch up from Gangstology on the site, but he is nervous of St. Clair bearing down from above. JM getting his 2nd kill, shutting down Harabic, and that could very well be a huge pick, but a perfect double swing from both Cow and Snail to remove the only player left on the site itself. All they've got to do is grab this diffuser and try to get back in this fight, but JM could prove huge! He'll down Cow! Kringle and Zooted have to get something going, but Kinger and JM are tucked away. There goes Kinger. He'll get one. He'll get two. JM responds. It's all up to Kringle, but he'll whip around and get it. No way. They bring it back out of nowhere. And ISU pull it out, taking map 2.
We're playing ping pong, Jonah. Each team's like, here, you take the win. No, you take the win. No, you take the win. No, you take the win. And I guess it looks like it ended with ISU. Looks like they got the win. Somehow, that player coming from downtown was able to get those final 2 that no other players were willing to deal with. And I thought that maybe JM was going to make us eat our words there. He got 2 huge picks there. Not only got a down, but also a kill. And yet, still wasn't enough. That tertiary site is a tough one to hold. Unless you're ISU, it seems, is who struggled not at all with those tertiary sites, only struggled with the primary sites. So that's pretty interesting. And I think that's something to maybe keep an eye on as we head into map 3. But that's going to be right after the break.
We are back here with map number 3 in this matchup that has turned into an absolute stinker. I mean, we have seen a crazy comeback in the last map by Illinois State, who were unable to take map 1, but then nearly St. Clair making the comeback of their own. But Taco, it was not to be. We were going to see map 3 all day, and it looks like we have finally ended up here on Chalet. What do you think of this map?
Well, here in CR6, map 3 sides are chosen based on who has the best round count, best RD, and St. Clair winning Coastline pretty handedly. Well, Illinois State barely scraped out Oregon. St. Clair had the choice, and pretty smartly for them, they opted for defense because although Chalet can be a map that's pretty difficult to defend, if this series has been anything to go by, it seems like defense is going to be your winner regardless of the map that you're on, just because both teams have unique ways of succeeding on defense, or maybe both teams have unique ways of failing on attack, I should say. But we find ourselves now on Chalet, and the bans are, nothing that you wouldn't expect. The Malusi ban is, I would say, the bit of an outlier here. Usually you see something similar to maybe a Valkyrie or a Cade, depending on where you're trying to attack from. But a Malusi ban is, still pretty good, especially the changes that she's gone through recently.
You mentioned the changes, Taco, and I'm glad you did, because we are going to be seeing a lot of Wamai on Chalet. Now, you highlighted the operators that are often banned, and Wamai is one of those here on this map, which depends so heavily on deployable shields. Now, until this moment in time, until the most recent patch, Chalet has been more or less attacker sided. Subtly so, like a 3.5 to kind of 2.5 kind of breakdown, or like a
Right.
it doesn't always go one way or the other, but it's either going to be that 4-2 attacker or 3-3 attacker. But what that means is this change with the Wamai is, I wonder if we're going to see, even if it is a subtle change, I wonder if we're going to see this map return to more of a defensive or an even map when Wamai is left up. Because these 2 additional Wamai magnets, the amount of utility that burns away, it is ridiculous. I mean, that's 2. Instead of having a couple of extra flashes and a couple of nades, now maybe your nades are getting caught out. Your impacts are getting caught out as the attacking side. You've got so much less burn and so much less potential, especially when approaching on these extreme power positions. Now, on the side of Illinois State, they're hoping to get around that issue by quite literally brute forcing their way in. At least that's what I anticipate by the presence of the Monty that Harabic is bringing out here.
An interesting choice. Harabic, one of your best guns on Illinois State. So finding him tucked behind a Ro16 shield is something that I definitely didn't expect, but maybe it's something that Illinois State's been cooking up in these scrims that they're so proud of not doing. So we'll have to see how that works out for them. Hopefully they're not just flying blind into this, but, based on how St. Clair's been playing incredibly aggressively, if they can use that Monty to try to corner some defenders out, then it could be good. But Vazdex, now he has the MPX that I'm assuming he probably wanted the whole time, right? As Valkyrie is now on the board. And so he's probably going to be running around doing a lot of damage, throwing a lot of cameras, getting a lot of intel, and finding a lot of frags as our favorite FBI defender.
Man, Vazdex is an absolute madman. There's 2 kills already. It was funny how Illinois State spent about a minute looking at windows, waiting for Vazdex to peek. But once they stopped looking at the windows, guess what? Vazdex peeked, and he found a kill. So now he's looking for more. He's got a Monty behind him, and actually Gangstology trying to kill Harabic from the top of Solarium stairs. Will just whip around and absolutely delete his teammate. I mean, that was hilarious. He absolutely murdered the poor guy. And, well, that's going to equalize us right away. I mean, follow that up with a kill by ISU, and we are sitting dead even. And now with a Monty at the helm of this attack, Harabic just got 3 times more powerful, because walking now into a dead even man count, this could get quite disastrous for St. Clair if they're not careful.
Illinois State, though, still trying to secure those flanks, which is probably a wise move based on how St. Clair has been playing. But Snail being a little bit, afraid to work his way up into Solarium, at least until his big boy Kringle has gotten on the big window and is going to try to cut off these rotations from within the site. But Harabic on the Monty is essentially doing the same thing, but he is there now just to bully those defenders back and allow Snail to try to get this plant down. But Snail on a Valk cam, but it's not going to matter as he finds Kinger on a long angle, making those AK-12 recoil nerf look like nothing. And Kringle's going to find another one. Rapid now on very low HP, has a lot to do and no utility to do it with the Jaeger with no plant denial and a Montaigne staring him in the face. He's just going to be stuck here with only a rotate to go through. Maybe these ankle holes if he can fit through, but no. Maybe 3-speed Jaeger, but 2-speed Jaeger's not making it through those ankle holes, and Rapid here only has a rotate to deal with, and it looks like he's going to try to make that work, but it's just going into the jaws of death as Snail there knows that that's his only route of escape, and he deals with it easily enough. ISU bringing that one back from the brink. Great stuff.
I gotta say, that was really well done from them, taking what looked like it was a complete disaster and turning it on its head in a matter of seconds. I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely assisted by Gangstology absolutely deleting his teammate on the Solarium stairs. I mean, that was one of the funnier moments I have seen in a competitive game in quite some time, and I'm gonna be completely honest, that was genuinely hilarious. The way that Gangstology just ran around that corner with so much confidence and just went for the one tap on the Monty and obliterated the poor teammate. The Valkyrie never stood a chance. And Vazdex, after finding 2 kills back to back that looked like it was going to give St. Clair the round, quickly found himself relegated to camera duty. JM also found himself taken out in an instant, and fighting in a 3v3, Illinois State used the Monty to perfection, using that for all the intel that Harabic could provide them, and using that as the literal brick wall that he is to just steamroll their way into the bomb site and take control.
I think the best thing there from Illinois State, to, even beyond just bringing that back from a 5v3, which we'll call a 4v3, just because Vazdex fell to a teammate, was their patience. Right, once they had the solar control, they waited a tick and they let their teammate get set up on big window. They let the Monty kind of get situated in bathroom before Ace even made his way up the solar stairs. Right, there's Valk cams to deal with. There's angles that they might not even know what's going on when they make their way up into solar and try to work their way into master. So the patience from Illinois State to just wait a second and get their crossfire set up. So now you have someone on big window. Once you push that guy out of the closet, easy frag, right? Snail finding a pick on the long angle. That one might have not been as, sound as the other ones, but hey, he's just won a gunfight. He swung, he took a gunfight, and he won it. And now Illinois State has a lot of momentum and has forced St. Clair to go to a site that, they're take a site that they maybe thought was their best and rotate out.
Well, ISU are now rotating in to Trophy, that is, now pushing up towards Solarium. Harabic once again at the helm. You've got Kringle on the 0, taking up the typical position on that master window, assisted by Zooted, clearing things out with that Jackal track scanner, identifying the footsteps, or in this case, the lack of footsteps over on that piano side. They know exactly that this side of the map is clear, and they know that nobody is going to be popping up from any corner and surprising them with a couple of bullets to the back. I'm loving the adjustments that ISU are making. They know the St. Clair playstyle by now, and they are doing a perfect job at countering it. No more random wall bangs. There's the Monty. No more rat roam. That's why you have the Jackal. And you combine that with the 0, and you've got so much intel to work with, and they have shut down St. Clair's aggression perfectly. But now, they're walking into a completely different battle. This is a utility-focused battle, and even though they can deal with the roam, this is an entirely different beast.
Right. I mean, you look at that lineup, you looked at the lineup and mentioned something that dealt with this roam incredibly well, but beyond the gone 6 of 0, I don't really see how they're going to deal with these shields. I mean, maybe you can sneak an ace charge in there, but other than that, you're going to have to take gunfights, and it looks like that's what ISU has opted to do now, sticking Vazdex deep in this corner of library because the attackers have made their way into the library windows. Harabic is going to have to try to make his way up and force this player off of this top library shield, but maybe he's going to try to go for a gunfight. No, he's just going to sit there and use that shield and just let his teammates kind of, start to increase that pressure now, breaching their way onto the top mezzanine, and that's going to give them even more angles of entry to maybe clear up some of these crossfires that St. Clair are still holding. Oh my.
May have gotten gypped there by a possible bug on that breach, but they're going to try to bounce back from that by, yes, Taco, playing the fragging game. They'll be successful in doing so. Vazdex missing the fadeaway shot, but Rapid retaking this library side of things and doing so with a vengeance. That's a double kill for him. It's going to be Cal left alone now that Vazdex will easily finish off Snail, and Cal will not even be able to find anything. A fantastic adjustment from St. Clair. Both of these teams, they go from complete disaster in map 1, that was ISU, complete disaster in map 2, that was St. Clair, but they come out in map 3, Taco, I've got to admit, I am extremely impressed with both of these teams. Just in these 2 rounds, we have seen their ability to adapt, and they're attempting now to outthink rather than outfrag their opponents.
It's something, and if you're out there watching and you're watching something mid round and you're trying to predict, what team you think's going to close this round out, just look at the team that you think is going to win. That's like, oh, they have all the control, they have numbers, they have time on their side, and then pick the opposite. Because just as St. Clair seemingly kind of fumbled the bag, round 1, Illinois State, maybe Jaeger made a play. Maybe there's nothing you can do about that, but I think there definitely was, right? You have more than enough control to deal with someone flanking up main stairs, especially considering that Buck was right at the bottom of those main stairs, right? So Jaeger had to have just been chilling on that fireplace, and the attackers were none the wiser. So, it's tough. You're staring down a lot of shields. You only have 1 Gon 6 to your name and maybe a few ace charges. And so it's tough to really get the actionable intel that you need to push through that. But once you had those 2 picks, you got a little bit too big for your britches. You got a little too fast. The Monty, kind of did his job clearing out library, but he got a little bit ahead of himself, and that allowed Jaeger to make his presence known on top library and make it known by not only taking out the Monty, but another attacker as well, giving top floor control back to the defense.
Taco, I mentioned the adjustments, and I'm hoping to see those continue to evolve as we go forward, right? We saw how Illinois State, they got in trouble on Coastline with the aggression, so now they bring out the perfect lineup to counter it. But now they've found themselves in a new pickle. They've found themselves against a utility-heavy game that they are simply not ready to counter. So Cal is going to be bringing out the Sledge instead of the Buck. Of course, Buck doesn't have those frag grenades anymore, rest in peace, but the Sledge does. Not to mention, he brings that soft breach potential that is so coveted on a map like Chalet. So some adjustments being had here by Illinois State, not substantial, but hoping at least for their sake that they are subtle enough to get the job done, at least when it comes to dealing with the plethora of utility that they are encountering left and right. Man, that is a classic mistake from Harabic. He's going to go for the vault as the Monty, knowing exactly that Vazdex was challenging him. Harabic was simply hoping that Vazdex was looking the other way, but Vazdex was more than ready for that, and the Monty already taken down.
A little bit too much trust in the shield there coming out from Harabic, and Vazdex is able to take that out no problem. That DMR just does so much damage, absolutely melting it. And Vazdex is going to find another 2 headshots, and he's going to try to hop out for a third, but Kringle sniffs that out and is able to dispatch the Rooney that's done so much damage, but Snail is just going to try to get involved, and Gangstology is having none of it. Now as the pressure comes in from frontside, Cow and Snail doing their best to try to get this round back from the brink, but unfortunately it has been quelled as the Goyo and JM Beast are able to close it out. But Kringle, now the lone man on Solar Stairs, is going to have it all to do. Kinger and JM Beast, though, are in pretty separated positions, if I'm being honest. So Kringle might have a chance here to get 2 1v1 gunfights if he plays this right, or maybe should I say if St. Clair plays this wrong.
They're not going to do so, at least it seems like that. They're going to sit back and wait. They know they have Diffuser, and Kringle knows he doesn't. He's got to figure out a way to find this Diffuser, or at least find these frags, but St. Clair seem content to sit back and wait. And honestly, that is refreshing to say for a team that has been consistently aggressive. But Kringle will now actually step up himself, getting a triple kill, and you can tell here that Kinger is getting a little bit antsy, not exactly sure where Kringle is going to swing next. Actually, Kringle might as well go and recover this Diffuser, but he only has 12 seconds to do it. Kringle also doesn't know where Kinger is positioned, face checking every single angle and taking his time to do so, and he has waited just a bit too long. He now has to stick this diffuser, planning in an uncomfortable spot, and Kinger knows he can just run right in. ISU are not going to stick that plant, and it looks like St. Clair will bounce back and take one themselves.
A valiant effort from the Zero. Unfortunate that he wasn't able to clutch that out, but again, it's crazy how quickly St. Clair can make your words, talking about how they're not getting too aggressive, and then the Mute's just swinging out in the bathroom for really just no discernible reason. Obviously, it's a little bit better that him and the Wamai are playing together, but it's just unfortunate. And regardless of that, St. Clair has used that aggression to their advantage, I would say. Right? You found Vazdex once again getting yourself 2 early picks, and this time he wasn't TK'd. Right? He was able to actually immediately hop out a window and throw his life away. So might as well have been TK'd, I guess. But ISU, it's a similar story to Coastline, except this time they do have a round. They have a round to their name. So maybe, just maybe, they can bring it back on defense, but they're going to have to try to get a little bit of momentum on these attacks.
We see Vazdex calling it out in chat. Unfortunately, he can't type very well, but what he can do is point out something that you mentioned earlier, Taco. Putting Harabic on the Monty is a curious choice, because Harabic is, after all, one of these bigger fraggers on this Illinois State roster, especially the lack of Fortra, one of their typical gunners. It means that Harabic has had to step up in a big way, and if Snail's going to stick on that hard support, on that ace, all map long, taking out Harabic from play entirely is an odd decision. Why not put Snail on the Monty? In this case, why not put Zooted on the Monty? It seems like you have a couple more options to work with here. ISU, right now, they're going to stick to their guns. They've done it for 3 rounds, so why change, I guess, is their thought. They're going to bring the same lineup from the previous round, the Cow consistent on that sledge, but looks like Vazdex will get too aggressive for his own good once again. I really wish that he learned. He is in college after all, where it is all about learning, but really struggling to learn anything about how this game has progressed. I feel like Vazdex has swung and died so many early times. Looks like Rapid will be next in line. A couple of pings from Harabic as he just walks right into Rapid, and Rapid will also not learn that you don't want to take down a Monty in a 1v1 when you know there's a teammate swinging close behind him. That's ISU with 2 early frags.
ISU now in the driver's seat thoroughly. They have all the top floor control they need, and they just have to realize that they know what to do with it if they just slow down and play their game. They've done it before. They have 2 minutes to deal with. Right? Snail is, he's still rock climbing out there, so they're definitely in no hurry, but Cow is going to make quick work despite their lack of hurry of another defender on site, Jay and Beast, falling to the vertical play of the sledge. That's exactly what you want to see if you are ISU. Now, Gangstology and Kinger have a very tall mountain to climb ahead of them, and the sledge, the vert holes have continued to prove very useful now as Kinger is locked even out of the sight, and Zoot is there just ready to hold the door. Maybe we were too swift to dismiss the play of the Monty, as that was instrumental in, I would say, at least 2 kills that round.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for, I suppose. You don't need a gun if you can just help your team get the kills another way. That was a tremendous round from ISU all around. They really didn't have any issues. St. Clair struggling to make some substantive changes, falling victim to similar mistakes that we've seen them make several times now. So I really foresee this continuing to go back and forth, with one team adjusting and the other team falling behind. And the team that fell behind, they come out and adjust, and the other team is missing a step. And so far, we've continued this back and forth pattern. I wonder who's going to be the first to break that, if ISU can try to chain 2 attacking rounds together here. But the problem is, they're now going back to Barn Games, a site that they really didn't have a good understanding of how they wanted to approach it last time with this particular operator selection that they're choosing to display for us. And honestly, I'm not sure how they're going to approach this one. They need to try to just go for a more direct approach, because if you take map control and clear over from Master and Office all the way through, you don't have enough utility to clear out the top blue stairs player. You have to add something else into the mix if you want to get this one done.
Jonah, you took the words right out of my mouth. if I'm ISU here, I'm looking at my lineup and I'm saying we have to try to circumvent this utility, right? You have a lineup that's very adept at dealing with roamers or very aggressive players, so you can kind of choose a route of attack that's maybe a little bit off the beaten path. In fact, maybe not you can, but you're kind of forced to, because you don't have the utility to try to, steamroll your way down that jungle hallway. You maybe need to work downstairs, and it looks like Illinois State is doing just that. It seems like they might be going for an avenue of attack that maybe circumvents this utility. We saw that last round, right, where they went above. St. Clair had shields on site, right? They had plenty of stuff to hold any sort of horizontal attack, but they just took above and they used that vertical pressure to get them all the frags they needed to get control on site. So you didn't have to deal with the utilities. So the Monty, the Jackal, and the Zero wasn't a detriment. But now we see them once again trying to work their way into bar, and it seems like they might fall victim to the same thing as they've made their way into office.
Well, Vazdex is going to put himself in the worst position possible. Like there is just no godly reason why he should be in that. Like, there is none. Zero. No utilities to support him. All that utility is behind him. No teammate to support him. No intel, and staring a Monty in the face. I don't know what that was, and I simply cannot excuse a blunder like that.
That's Vazdex. Maybe he doesn't lose those. He doesn't lose those. That's Vazdex. Come on. He doesn't need all that. Shields? Shields are for posers. So
dude, I'm fuming after that one, and Snail is seems to be riding a high after that one, taking down Rapid. Zooted shuts down JM. Thankfully for St. Clair, they've got Gangstology and Kinger to make something happen, and a good C4 toss, but Harabic turns and faces that Nitro Cell as he should, as the literal brick wall that he is. So Illinois State will continue to have this advantage. They will hold that one until Gangstology has something to say about that one. It looks like I spoke too soon, though, because Cal will live to fight another day. Question is, will they identify Kinger's position here on the snowmobile stairs? This one, I'm not sure if they have. Harabic currently his back turned to that stairs player. Cow as well, not quite checking that angle, but he will, and Kinger will reveal his position, which now means it's going to be up to Gangstology to step things up. Cow, focused on the snow player, gets himself taken on down, and Kringle is busy focusing elsewhere. Harabic is going to take things into his own hands. He whips out the pistol, and he's going to go on the hunt. But now that Kringle found Kinger, Harabic knows all he has to do is sit back and play this one like a Monty. Kringle will swing back around the rotate, taking down Gangstology, and man, that was close. But it really seemed getting that kill, Kringle onto the player on the snowmobile stairs, that won them the round without question.
Yeah, Illinois State, they had me nervous. They had a playa nervous, because let me tell you something. The very thing that I applauded them for on that master attack, where they had the control they needed, and despite the dwindling clock, they still decided to slow down, get the information they needed, get their players set up in the right positions. This time, they kind of avoid that entirely. If Sledge didn't happen to peek onto those snow stairs and just spot out the Wamai waiting in the wings, ready to flank the Monty and the Sledge, then that round goes to St. Clair. There's no question in my mind. So just the fact that they had to rely on such a chance bit of luck for that round to work out for them, beyond the things that happened past that, just shows that, maybe Illinois State got a little too ahead of themselves, as they did get, the picks that they needed to actually start working their way onto site. So once again, if they can just kind of understand that they're the ones in the driver's seat right now, they have the lead on St. Clair's chosen side, then they can find a lot more success, especially in the late round.
I hate to bring this up again, but I gotta say, it is absolutely mind-boggling, the decision that Vazdex made in the previous round. I am going to chalk that round up entirely to that mistake, because there's just simply no explanation for it. Anything he could tell me, it's going to be wrong. I promise you. Because if you just look at the previous round, the previous time we saw Barn games, and how ISU could not move because of all the utility. They could not move. Maybe Vazdex has short-term memory loss, and maybe he forgot how potent the utility-focused strategy was, and maybe he forgot that Harabic is running Monty every single round. I simply have no idea. We're gonna move past it, because I think I'm gonna slam my own desk here.
Yeah, blow a blood vessel.
If that goes, I'm talking about that any longer. But St. Clair will hopefully rebound from that one, unless unless ISU have something to say about that. They're going to be continuing this lineup. Harabek just consistent on the Monty as always, looking to continue the reign of terror that he has just single-handedly enforced upon St. Clair, who have really no counter for this just yet.
I mean, we kind of scoffed at the decision early in the game, but it's kind of worked out for him pretty well. Monty only dying twice, and those were on the rounds they lost. So it just shows how instrumental he has been in these winning attacks. You know, Illinois State, a team that might struggle, not necessarily on the roam clear, but maybe more on finally working their way onto site once they do have that roam cleared. And so maybe the Monty just is a little bit of a, you know, a blanket of protection. But the site now is firmly within Illinois State's reach, as they do have all of the control they need to try to make their way on to the site. But that is because they have so far ignored the hold downstairs of St. Clair, and with the nitros downstairs, that might come back to hurt them later in the round. But Zooted going to find one, and frags are coming left, right, and center now as a 3v2 for Illinois State. Kringle going to find not one, but two from the big window now, as Rapid and Vazdex have a lot to do. Vazdex, this is going to be our first time seeing him alive late round. Maybe he can bring his gun skill to clutch something out, but Jaeger is on the flank, and maybe the drones are not there from Illinois State to find him out, as he has made his way back onto site. Vazdex going to take a lot of damage in the gunfight and is going to be down, leaving our friend Rapid in a essentially what is a 1v3 situation now. He is tucked in a pretty good spot here in office. He can try to take some gunfights here, but Snail wants to take one of his own, and he is going to dispatch the Jaeger very quickly. And that's the cleanest round of the game right there. Illinois State, they got the trades, they got the control, they got all the way up into the library, and they were in the hallway clearing the shield only 45 seconds into the round. Illinois State right there, if they keep that up, they're going to be a very difficult team to beat.
I'm going to agree with you, Taco, and I'm going to even double down and say that was the first round tonight that ISU looked like a team that practices. Yes, you heard me right. I said
crazy.
I said the word practice on a collegiate broadcast, which may be shocking. It's something that we don't say very often, because people like Snail and ISU take pride in not practicing. God, I said it again. They take pride in not, doing what at all. Right? And they try to avoid it at all costs. And every time they lose a match, they claim, it's because we're not, doing that thing that I mentioned a moment ago. So the fact that round looked so clean and decisive is very impressive. It clearly shows that this team has a level of coordination that is just a level of chemistry that is just so inherent and so natural that they don't even need to do what in order to succeed. And I gotta say, that was a clean execute. Like you said, Taco, they played the trades very well. They had everyone in the exact correct spots at the exact right time. And when it came down to dealing with that 1vx situation, they didn't flounder either. They stayed true. They continued to use a couple of drones, and Snail was on top of it, had a good pre-fire to shut down Rapid. And just like that, I mean, they emerge out of their attacking half with the 4-2 split, exactly what they were looking to do on Chalet. Not only because this map, does generally go 3-3-4-2, but more so because the way this night has been progressing, it has been a defensive-sided matchup, and St. Clair have found more success on the defense than anything else.
Illinois State now finding themselves on defense, and they have opted for a site that we have yet to see in this matchup, and that is the basement, a site that for a while, this was kind of like the ranked first map, but after that, things it fell out of favor of a lot of players, but it's starting to work its way back as players are starting to realize the top four might not be the best. But Rapid, they're getting an early pick onto Harabek. Unfortunately, it seems like him having a full auto weapon has not helped his fragging potential much, as Cow's forced to get aggressive to try to get a pick back for his team, and unfortunately missing that shot there. But now they kind of realize what they're dealing with. St. Clair knows that they're going to have a lot of utility to try to fight through, and the first step is that Aruni gate. So now Aruni is going to have a lot to deal with, and only 16 bullets, or 15 plus 1 for all you nerds out there, to deal with it. Oh!
Rapid, can I see him? Yes, but Cow is somehow going to be able to escape. The Vulcan shield will blow up as Cow does sneak away, but that is a missed opportunity if I've ever seen one. Now ISU remain still with 4 defenders on this site, still ready to shut down St. Clair as they walk into these 2 chokehold positions that ISU are now holding very firm. Vazdex, the next player to take this fight, he'll actually feel bold enough to creep on into the site itself, and Cal was not ready. Zooted was. Good C4 onto Kinger to answer that back, and Kringle is now going to go huge. He'll swing out and get a double kill, and just like that, St. Clair on the back foot. Rapid now falls, and Kringle gets another, playing on this pillar, and he cannot be stopped. JM is last alive, and he is going to get fried because he is leaning the wrong way, my friend. JM is just not looking the right way to take that gunfight, and he will pay the price for it. That is yet another round that St. Clair had the edge. They even had a much stronger edge than we've seen in the past, but it is another round that Illinois State have snatched right out of the St. Clair fingertips.
Jonah, I feel like we've done a disservice to a certain player on the side of Illinois State. We're talking about the Vazdexes and the Harabics and the Cows of the world and their fragging potential, but one player that we neglected to mention is Kringle. And if the scoreboard, if I remember it correctly, he's either 11-1 or 12-1 right now. Are you kidding me? This guy, I mean, look at his teammates' deaths, 3, 6, 4, 4, and he's only died 1 time. I mean, they've lost 2 rounds, so maybe, we won't talk about that one. But other than that, he's staying alive. Not only that, he's getting frags. It's not like he's staying alive because he's not taking gunfights. It's not like he's JM Beast map 1 going 0-1 after 6 rounds. This guy is getting involved. He's getting in it. Maybe I'm giving you too much credit because he is playing flank watch against St. Clair, which is a team that, might live more on the flank than they do on the site. But still, the guy is just showing up. And that round right there, he single-handedly bought that one back from the brink. It was lucky. I will say it was lucky that Vazek has taken a lot of damage, and because that MP5K is not known for its body shot damage, but still, he hit a great shot onto the ace. He hit a great shot onto Vazdex, and after that, they just closed things out, and they brought that round back from, absolute disaster.
Yeah. And that's all you can ask for from your support players, right? From these flex players who are consistently the last alive because you have them tasked on the site. And all you ask from them is, 1, the opportunity for them to allow you to frag by playing close and playing supportive. But when they're put in those situations, it is only the best of the best who thrive. And Kringle, at least tonight, proving that, yes, indeed, they fall into that best of the best category, because St. Clair, he was just too much for St. Clair to deal with, and that in itself is very, very impressive. So St. Clair have a lot of distance now to make up. A 3-round gap. ISU have now extended that lead, and St. Clair are returning to their roots, and those are aggressive roots. Those are droneless roots, and they're going to pay the price because Gangstology, your Habana, your support player, the one player you'd really like to have alive in this round, is going to get caught out by a C4 from below.
And it seems like St. Clair getting a bit ahead of themselves, trying to just launch willy-nilly ash charges towards shields, not understanding that there's going to be a Jaeger and a Wamai to deal with. And it seems like now they are going to try to actually burn before they destroy a shield. That's kind of the PEMDAS of Rainbow Six Siege, says your order of operations. And Vazdex, now that shield's out of the way, oh no, never mind. He's made his way elsewhere, and he's going to find Zooted on the flank, and now Vazdex can try to do what he does best, and that is get frags in places that he probably shouldn't. All credit to him. He's going to be working his way elsewhere as his team is keeping the pressure on the front side, so it allows him to actually work his way all the way up snow stairs and straight into sight. It's Coastline all over again. Vazdex is all the way in sight, but this time there's no defenders to be seen. He gets a heal, good for him. He's all the way almost back up to full HP and then some at this point. And now Mudroom is his target, and Harabic is going to fall now, and Cow is going to take out JMB. So the diffuser now down outside in lobby. So despite all the work that Vazdex has done to secure map control, it's all for naught, as Cal is going to find himself another one. Trying to secure that diffuser is not going to work. Vazdex and Kinger now are going to have to try to get this diffuser back.
Kinger will look towards the blue stairs, but uncertain that there is a player sitting close. He's not going to check the right angle, and that rat is Snail himself, sneaking away on the ground and just lying prone and waiting to capitalize. And look at this. ladies and gentlemen. It is Vazdek's last alive. A shocker, considering that he was alone in the middle of the bomb site about 45 seconds ago. But what is new with this team? St. Clair refuse to play together anymore. They seem to have lost that coordination that we applauded them for on Coastline, and they are playing like individuals and not as a team. What we just saw there from Vazdex was a perfect example of that, leaving his entire team out to dry by pushing into the site all alone. He probably made the call, hey everyone, I've got the site for free, you should bring that diffuser. Guess what happened? They brought that diffuser, and they brought that diffuser right into ISU's hands. Cal was waiting because St. Clair skipped steps. Vazdex skipped steps. We said this was going to be a battle of egos, but we did not realize the effect that would have until now. Vazdex unable to put that ego to the side and allow his team to do the work that he simply could not.
Unfortunate that your Hibana gets taken off the board early, but that is far from a death sentence on that round. I mean, if you're St. Clair, you got to understand that your gun skill, by and large, is going to be better usually than Illinois State. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just talking out of my butt right now, as Kringle is still 11-1. I mean, Cow going 8-6. Snail 9-3. Zooted subbing in, going 6-5. So, you know, Illinois State is just playing like they're playing old school basketball, right? They're playing don't shoot it until there's 5 passes, right? Everyone's got to touch the ball. We got to get some cuts, got to get some screens. St. Clair, they're playing pickup right now, right? They're playing ISO ball. And right now it seems like they're just getting shut down. And it's going to be really tough for them to try to bring back 4 rounds, because I've been there before where you're just down horrendously and the mental is really hard to bring back, and it's really hard to not try to double down on what you've done previously, because you're like, you know what, I think what we can do could work, we're just not doing it to the nth degree. But maybe you know, if you're St. Clair, you take a step back and maybe you try to reevaluate your general approach, and maybe then you can start to get a little bit more success.
4-round gap. 4-round gap ISU have now secured. And St. Clair show no signs of changing up this rhythm anytime soon, but they've got to do it now. It's match point after all. And for St. Clair, it is their playoff life on the line. It is their stage 1 life on the line. A loss here would take them out of the playoffs, would take them out of this mini major, and they would have no shot at having a share of our $6,000 valued prize pool right now. Already losing Vazdex early is not a good sign, to say the least. At least now he can't jeopardize his team by pushing into the site alone, but that is a gun that you'd very much like to have back for this eventual execute. I say eventual, but it seems like St. Clair are eager to contest this top 4 pressure right away. JM and Cow will go 1 for 1, but JM now back on his feet. Cow should be taken care of rather shortly. Depends on what Harabic has to say, though, because he's sitting behind that piano wall. He's ready to make a move. Actually, he's backed on off. So he's gonna force Cow to make the really long crawl. But Snail is actually gonna support them from below. That's really good heads-up play from the man himself. Kringle will now pop off, getting a double kill. Good night, Rapid. It's Kinger alone. St. Clair's hopes in these playoffs are all but decimated. Kinger will look to line 2 up, and he will, actually lining up 3. This one became doable all of a sudden. It's just Kringle and Snail on the vertical play. Can't support his teammate. Oh my goodness, Kinger just made an incredible play. That is a quad kill in the matter of 30 seconds or less. And now it's a 1v1 against Snail. 40 seconds to work with is a good bit of time. Kinger still has a drone and has a lot of that soft destruction in that skeleton key. The question is, where is Snell going to play? Where can he hide? And what is Kinger about to do? He's rotating all the way around towards West Main, but he's running out of time here. That's not the site. You've got to get upstairs towards kitchen and take this gunfight soon, because Snail is lying in wait. 10 seconds left now. Kinger rounds the corner, goes for the pre-fire, and gets it done. What an incredible clutch. The ace clutch to keep St. Clair alive.
Am I Is it? I just have no words. How do you let that happen if you are Illinois State? I mean, first of all, before I start, ripping into Illinois State, credit to Kinger, right? Keeping his calm under pressure, winning the gunfights where he had to, not only the 3 freebies that he was gifted in piano, but also winning that gunfight on the master bed. That one's huge. That one is huge. I'm not sure, how well he played that 1v1. I think Snail might have just missed his shots there, but Kinger, great work. Now that that's out of the way, Illinois State, you idiots, you absolute morons. What on earth was that? Not only do you send somebody to res him, but another guy to go stand on top of him and, I don't know, play Dance Dance Revolution or something. What was that? You have so many shields. They didn't deal with anything. I don't think Zofia or Ash got so much as a look at their middle mouse button to throw some utility at you, let alone clear it. And yet here you are hopping over your shields because you think it's game over. That is not how you got to a 6-2 lead. You got to a 6-2 lead by being disciplined, by playing the game the right way, and then you throw it away right when you have a chance to win. Obviously, Illinois State probably still has a very good chance of closing this one out. But still, that kind of stuff makes my blood boil, man. Because what are you doing it for at the end of the day? Why are you doing all that? That's just so frustrating. Sorry if I got a little harsh. I'm sorry.
I mean, no. I mean, listen. In the previous round, I absolutely deleted Vazdek. So you are entitled to rant. But now that we've got both of our rants out of the way, I think we can absolutely agree that this has been an incredible series so far, and it is coming to what appears to be an incredible conclusion. St. Clair still hanging on here, but Illinois State are still on match point, and they will be on match point for 3 more rounds, regardless of if St. Clair can pull these round wins out or not. Things will start off on the right foot for them this time, and Vazdex will finally be on the opening kill end. Now, doubly so, rather than on the opening death. That's 2 kills for him at the onset of this round. Now, looking for a third is Cow, actually, who just comes sprinting through piano, and Rapid is there to punish him for that. And in a matter of 45 seconds between the last round and this, St. Clair have absolutely toppled the tower of momentum that Illinois State have been building, and a flawless round is delivered here in round number 10. That is quite a response. Really, ISU may be regretting the shenanigans they pulled in that last round now.
Jonah, I don't know how I'm going to feel if
don't say it. Don't you say it. Don't you say a word.
We find ourselves looking at more siege. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I'm going to be elated because that's a crazy comeback off the back of a 1v5. And I'm also going to be sick to my stomach that Illinois State took that opportunity that they had to get in the money for CR6 playoffs and just toss it aside like old couscous. The food's so nice they named it twice. Oh, it's heartbreaking.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
And saying so is a crime. Because now, if St. Clair watch this VOD back and they don't make the comeback, they'll be like, Taco, you evil caster cursing man.
Hey,
I know you're not
used
to it.
I'm new to this.
You're not used to the casting booth, but every word you say has the chance to curse a team, and you may have just uttered your final word, sir. No, I'm just kidding. But listen. This has been good, and St. Clair are continuing this comeback, and they're close. They're close to it. They were 4 rounds away just two rounds ago, and that math does check out. But now they need to do it 2 more times. I mean, Illinois State are going to be on match point. They're staying here on match point. They're thriving. Well, they were thriving until this point. But now they just need to close. It's so hard sometimes to have this lead and to finish it out strong. But Taco, you yourself have the experience. You're holding a 7-2 lead, and you find a way. You find a way to finish it out. That doesn't mean you get the 7-0. You're not a team that 7-0s people, but you get the victories when you need to, and you find a way to win. All ISU have to do is put 1 good round under their belt, and they will walk away into the quarterfinals just like that.
Any map where Snail has double digits and ISU doesn't win is I don't want to, you know, be over dramatic, but it's a crime against God, I would have to say, if I'm putting it lightly. So ISU, they got to close this out. If not for themselves, maybe just for their, you know, glorious leader Snail, a Kim Jong-un figure, a bit Snail, I would say. So, you know, they got to close this out here, and it looks like St. Clair are maybe opting for actually some utility burn here, as they are able to dispatch that top blue shield. They burned, they shot things that didn't explode first, and then they shot things that exploded. And look at that. Snail has now been forced back on the blue stairs. He is able to persist, though, but the swing from the attackers might prove too much. Snail, they're going to get a lot of shots, and Vazdex going to get an entry, but on his own teammate as JMB swings out there, going for the double swing onto the Jaeger. A smart idea, but once that initial swing didn't net any kills for either side, it proved detrimental. Because now Cow has a lot to do here on this top of Fireplace Stairs.
Well, Vazdex now going for the wide swing, trying to establish this attacking crossfire, but it's not going to pay off. Guess why? They didn't have any idea that Kringle was sitting in library. Vazdex was walking in completely blind, and he is going to get punished for that one. Understandably so, and ISU maintain this edge for just a bit longer. Kringle now with 14 kills is looking to add to his tally. Rapid, the next attacker in his line of sight, bearing down from above, as is Kinger with that skeleton key, trying to establish that vertical pressure, but it's Zooted who actually goes for a bold retake up the blue stairs, and that will work, providing ISU with another kill. That's Rapid. The end of his life in this round. It's going to be Gangstology and Kinger to bring this one back. Gangstology is the first one to set his eyes on the site, eager to push on in, but I don't know if he knows there's somebody lurking below. Yes, he does. He will get that pre-fire perfectly and shut down Snail. Now, getting this wall open, looking to build this pressure onto the site itself. 15 seconds, though. Now down to 10, and they need to get a move on. Triple kill for Gangstology, and now it's just about getting this plant. Kinger has Diffuser, though, so he's got to put this on the ground, and somebody's got to get this coverage. Hravik goes for the wide swing towards Supply. That's not going to work, but here comes Zooted from behind. The triple kill to close out the match. A surprise flank that St. Clair were not prepared for, and ISU will get the victory here, and they will finally close things out, and they're moving on to the quarterfinals.
I have never been more nervous in a 4v2. I was like, wow, they're gonna lose this again. And then Gangstology going huge, I was like, they're gonna lose this again. But Illinois State, from the jaws of defeat, getting absolutely embarrassed map 1. They bring it back under the leadership of Snail, under the fragging of Kringle. They absolutely brought that back. Zooted, your super sub, coming in and just making his presence known, especially on that last round. I like the confidence from him. Maybe not confidence, but maybe just a little bit of deer in headlights panic of not killing the planner, but you know, killing the guy covering him, making sure that he got his last 2 frags to push him over that double digits mark. But ISU, gosh, you guys are, you know, you play scared. You're not that great of gunners. You play dumb sometimes, you play slow, and then you play too fast. But man, I love you, and I wouldn't have it any other way. What a series.
An incredible series. Taco, thank you so much for joining me for this one. It was a last minute thing, and I'm glad we were able to get it in, because not only was it a fantastic series, but it was a blast being in the booth with you, my beautiful friend. So moving on and looking at the picture for the rest of the week here, now that ISU will be advancing to the quarterfinals, they look to play on Friday, and they've got another matchup ahead of them, as do many of the other teams here that have now worked their way into the quarterfinals. We've got a lot of exciting action coming to you, not only on Friday for the quarterfinals, but into next week as well for our semifinals, and eventually, of course, for our grand finals. So much here to conclude in stage 1, and so much at stake, of course, a piece of that $6,000 valued prize pool. And of course, looking towards the future, there's some points on the line for that unified collegiate championship. But we're a long way off. What we can say for sure is that you need to tune in on Friday for some more fantastic collegiate siege. But until then, for myself, Jays Wills, and for my good friend Taco and Tango Mango down on the sticks and in the production booth tonight, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. So long.